Mike Schneider Podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been thinking, I've wanted like content like this for fingerboarding. So I think it's really cool you started it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it for sure. I think there's a lot of background stuff people have no idea about, so it'll be really cool to share.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so what's in your beverage cup over here?
This is kind of out of character for me, but because I drove 3 hours to get here, I stopped to get gas. So I love the logo, to be honest, on this, but this is Speedway. They bought out Hess, I'm pretty sure, and this used to be Hess stations, now it's Speedway. But I got a big, tall, extra large cup of like just black coffee. And then I got water in this, and I'm an Nalgene guy, so I like the way I like them. I like the hard plastic. It's nice. So that's what I'm drinking.
Keep it out of the sun though.
Does it melt?
No, when you have plastic in the sun, it like leaches all the plastic chemicals into your water like much faster.
Oh.
So and then you drink up some nice microplastics.
I thought these were BPA free though.
Yeah, but you know what they replace the BPA with? BPB. I don't know, just like something else. You know, they're gonna come out in like 5 years and be like, oh man, the BPA replacements were even worse than the previous thing.
I think the safest way to probably drink water is just like from a stream.
Straight from the cow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually I have like I like to make my coffee at home. Normally, I try not to buy coffee out because it's expensive.
Yeah.
Not this though. This was. I still have like half of it left, to be honest. So.
Cool. Should be enough to get through the show.
Yeah. I don't even know if I'm gonna take a sip of it, to be honest. But yeah.
It's a good ornamental coffee then.
It's a nice. It looks like product placement, honestly.
Yeah, we're not sponsored though, not by them. Any coffee companies want to sponsor the show though, hit me up.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, take us back to the beginning. What was your childhood like, and then at what point did you start fingerboarding, and then, where did it go from there?
So, my childhood was like really great. I have an older brother, so whatever he was into, I was into. So I was like into like Power Rangers, like gargoyles, like all the not like general gargoyles, but like the show gargoyles.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, like looking at buildings.
I just liked general gargoyles, the statues. No, I liked all like stuff like that, like X-Men, Spider-Man. Like I was into all that stuff, and like Hot Wheels and all that stuff. So I was always into like toys. I played in my room for like hours on end, just like myself, just like playing with action figures and stuff. I played sports, but I really liked basketball a lot. Like that was like, I was like, I'm gonna be a pro basketball player.
Wow.
And then I collected basketball cards, Pokemon. Like
How
I
old
was
were you
into,
like when you were doing that?
like 7.
Okay.
Yeah. I followed like my brother's interests a lot.
Yeah.
Because he collected like Garfield and like Smurfs and all that. Like he was a collector. So I was naturally like into like collecting stuff and just like I liked movies as a kid. Like I loved The Sandlot, like stuff like that. So I was like really into like toys, like really into toys. Like I wasn't like into like nature or anything like that. Like I think the only thing I did was like play basketball outside and stuff like that. So I think that kind of was always like, prevalent in my life all the way through. And then I think literally around, I forget how old I was, but my neighbor brought a skateboard over and I was like enamored. Like I really like, I was like, I have to try that. Of course I like sat on it and like rolled it like that, but it was like really scary to like step on it. But that I must have been like 9 or 10 or something. And so I asked for a skateboard for my birthday. For Christmas. And I got it. And that kind of got me interested in like skateboarding. And then I saw tech decks in stores. And I think honestly, like my first fingerboard like wasn't a tech deck. It was like a Pokemon fingerboard, those ones with like the plastic grip tape.
Whoa.
I like a Ghastly and a Pidgeotto fingerboard. I still have them.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
And I was like, this is really cool. And then I just started to like ask for more like fingerboard stuff. I got like the Tech Deck, like, you know, Plaza with like the 2-step and the 8-stair and the quarter pipe.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, I still have them. Like those are still like probably some of the best ramps. That was kind of where I started to like collect them. I wasn't like obsessed with skateboarding back then. But
so it was like one of your few hobbies, kind of just like got the cards, got the fingerboards, got the...
Yeah, like I was always into
basketball.
action figures. Like it was a really like big thing. Like I still like have a lot of them. But I think what happened was like at that age, I must have been like 5th grade maybe. So that was like 2001 for me. I would like bring tech decks to school, and I could do like the flick where it would like flick up in the air, and you like, you know that noise when like the trucks were loose and like, I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And I thought I was probably the best in the world because like I had no idea that anyone could do anything. So I would just like bring them as like toys and stuff, and then somehow I got Flying Fingers, the Matt Johnson VHS, and that opened my eyes to everything. I was like, holy shit, like this guy is doing like heel flips. He's skating outside like with like a fisheye lens and like recreating stuff and bringing a half pipe out into like his yard in like the grass. Like that video is, if no one's ever seen that, it's on YouTube. Someone uploaded it. It's like a must watch. Like it really shows like what must have been a lot of people's first impression to like, you know, to like fingerboarding. The other video I had seen that was early fingerboarding too was, what's the other one? It was Flying Fingers and Fingers of Fury.
Yeah.
That video, one of my friends had it, and he brought it over to like a sleepover, and we watched Black Label's skate video, and then we watched Fingers of Fury, and I remember seeing the guy do a nollie over like a wine cork, and I was like, that's crazy, like people are doing like nollie stuff. So then I started to I like focused all my attention on like, I would just like try to learn. I would do like ollies on my leg like Matt Johnson.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, I'm like the best in the world. I literally thought that for a really long time. And then I went on to techdeck.com. So I was collecting tech decks. Like that's always, I still kind of do. They're just really cool. Like I would put them on my action figures too, and like have them ride it and stuff. And I went to techdeck.com and I saw their forum, and they had a couple things that also opened my eyes. They had sites that shred. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep. Wow, dude, that's a blast from
I
the
know
past.
the forum was green background with like black text, and sites that shred. I discovered a couple of things. Ingenuity. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Wow.
There was a clip. So I had only known like Matt Johnson, right? Like he's the best. And then I saw this person.
I thought you were the best.
Well, he kind of humbled me, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I can't use 3 fingers anymore.
Yeah.
I also would also mention that in my school, like middle school, tech decks were massive. I mean, like everyone had them. No one really knew what they were doing, but like we would all take like a pen and put it on the edge of the table and ride it like and like slap it down.
Yeah,
and then
I've
we
done
would
that
also
too.
take the, you know, the clip that the pen like
Yeah.
goes in your pocket. We'd rip those off and like lick our fingers and stick it to it and ride it like a snow skate.
Sick.
So like up until then, I was like, this is what fingerboarding is. Then sites that shred, Ingenuity. I saw someone do a tourney flip.
Yeah.
And it was like a video that I would imagine would be playing in like a corner of like a bike shop, you know, like it was like really cool. It's like a slice of culture. And that got me like really interested. I also visited early on the early stages of FFI, which was a Flash-based website. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You would click on like the DVDs or like the CD collection. And this is a big shout out to that guy, Nate, because that was probably one of the first places I saw like bands. Like he had a like a music section on the site, and it was like you could listen to clips of like Alkaline Trio or like Lawrence Arms, and that was like really cool to me because I was like, how did this guy make this site? Like, this is amazing. But it wasn't a forum at that time. I think it was more like just a site about fingerboarding. So I then went to TechDeck's forum, and I was like blown away. Like, I was interested in like the obstacles, because people would like make crazy stuff out of like cardboard and stuff like that. Like, there's that classic like picnic table template, you know, the one where it's like, I think everyone probably made one of those. And probably like the first person that I saw who like did the most like incredible tricks was, do you remember Eddie Vargas?
Yeah.
He was under a God of Tech Deck on Tech Deck forums. And
awesome.
His videos blew my mind, and I started diving deep. So that's pretty much like, that's the early days of like my introduction to like fingerboarding for the most part.
That's awesome. There's like so many throwbacks in there, just like thinking about FFI and Tech Deck forums. And
Yeah.
I think like when I discovered FFI, it was already, they had the forums, but they still had the website up too. Because like you went to the homepage and it was like website and forum or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like a little later because I started in like 2003-ish, 2002, and then probably got online 2003 or 4, I guess.
Yeah, there's that weird thing of like, when do you consider yourself actually starting to fingerboard for real?
Yeah.
Or when did you like, you know, it's like when you discover it and it's just like a cool toy or whatever. I don't consider that time really like my start of fingerboarding. I was just like enamored by it, you know, like,
Yeah.
I remember going on YouTube early on and seeing Michael King Scott do stuff that I didn't understand how he did it, but my real start, I consider it being like 2006-ish,
Yeah.
when I would just like stay home. Like, it would be like summer where everyone's hanging out, and I just would be staying home filming with a digital camera, like all these tricks on like that World Industries double set. Like, I was just like blown away.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was like all I could think about.
yeah, that definitely. I think like a lot of us kind of went through those phases of like just being so obsessed that it's just like nothing else matters at all. Especially when you're a
Yeah.
kid, it's like this is everything.
Yeah, and like the fact that we were making videos, like
Yeah.
I felt like I was hot shit for making a video on like Windows Movie Maker with like standard blue background with like the gray type. Like, I just thought I was like, wow, I'm like making a skate video. I'm like making a sponsor me tape. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it was a introduction to a world too that I didn't know other people were good. And it was cool to see other people who did a similar hobby that feels so like, a lot of people viewed it as a toy in my school, and a lot of people didn't understand when I kept doing it. I got like made fun of, you know, for like playing with a toy and stuff. And it's like, it shook me at the time. Now I don't really care, because it's actually like, nowadays it's cool to play with a toy and like be good at it, or it's accepted at least.
Right.
But to see other people who took it as serious as I did, or was as obsessed as I did, was big.
Yeah. Is that what got you through it? Like when people were saying like, "Oh, you're so dumb for doing that," and then like you saw that there was other people, or like what was it that made you stick with it throughout that pressure? Like, how did you deal with the pressure, I guess?
Definitely like those early years of like FFI, where like we all kind of started at the same time. It was something that I was like, I kept hidden. Like, I don't know if you remember, like my early videos were like ASDF, like fingerboarding ASDF, because I thought that would hide the ability for someone to find my videos. Because I was like afraid. It sounds stupid now, but I was like very nervous for anyone finding it, because I didn't want to like be made fun of, you know, again. So I had like it sounds kind of dumb. It's like a pseudo like double life where like online, every day after school, I'd be like, I have to go to FFI. I have to like, these are like the people who share my you know, my interest.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's kind of what got me through it. I was making friends. Like Taylor Lucas was one of the first people that I was like kind of friendly with, and like I was like really like obsessed with his videos. He made a lot of videos back in the day.
Yep.
And that, I think that honestly was just that whole like friendship and like common level that we were all on. And the fact that it felt so like we were all discovering it and making progress at the same time, that was just awesome.
Yeah.
Like the sharing of the videos and like commenting on like what tricks you liked, and it was just really cool. That was my first forum I ever went to too. Like,
yeah, me too, definitely. I think there was a huge like sense of community and friendship, and even like enemies and whatever. Just like there was so much stuff in the forums that like it totally was like when you get home from school, it's like where you go almost. And it's like it's like you want to go hang out with real people, or you want to like hang out on the computer and like talk to people that are into this thing that you're just obsessed with, and it's like the greatest thing.
Yeah.
And so when did you kind of go from like only having online connections to like, you know, who was the first like fingerboarder you met, or like time you saw fingerboarding in real life, like somebody else like on your level or better?
100% Rendezvous 2, I think.
Cool.
Wasn't it? It was 2, right?
Probably, yeah.
2 was the first time I ever like fingerboarded with actual people. So I met you for the first time, Gary Chin, like I think Brett Gagliardo was there.
Yep. Doug was there.
Doug was there. I remember when you literally walked in, like, and like everyone was like, some people knew who you were, and like other people didn't, and I didn't know who you were because you were on like a different forum. But yeah, it was like a real like, I was like nervous, you know, like it felt weird showing up. But that was the first time, I think. And then I also had Taylor Rosenbauer over my house a couple of times. Him and John Contra showed up, and we like, because he had like at the time the largest Black River ramps collection. I remember he bought like the entire catalog. That was like mind blowing, honestly. Like I don't think you could ever like recreate that, you know, because I remember watching the first Rendezvous and being so jealous, seeing like you and Taylor and everyone. So yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. I don't think people even understand what it's like to not have that stuff, and then to first have the opportunity to check it out or get it or whatever. Yeah,
sometimes I get a little jealous watching current fingerboarding because it's so common now, or like people even have like a really good setup as just a casual thing, and like I think what people don't realize is like even back then, like there weren't parks. Like we brought like there were tables, and then it was like single ramps like set up, and that was like pretty amazing. Like I also used a lot of Black River ramps at the Rendezvous 2 and 3 and all that stuff like for the first time.
Yeah.
And that was like a big deal too. Setups too, like I didn't have many setups. Like I literally had like a couple of decks that I really liked, and that was a chance to like try out like all this crazy stuff that like never would have ever tried out. And nowadays it's really easy. I feel like it's like meet people, not where I live for some reason. I don't know anyone near me, but I want to kind of start something. But yeah, it's pretty crazy now.
You should. I think if you do an event, if you just say like, hey, meet up at this place, whatever, like people will come out of nowhere, and like you'll find out that like your neighbor fingerboards, like somebody somewhere in your town, or like, you know, it's like occasionally I'll get like somebody orders a fingerboard to like my town, and it's like, wow. So like there's people doing it everywhere.
Yeah. I love seeing how common it is now, how like popular it is.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. But I'm like very thankful that like we got to experience those like that time.
Yeah.
Because
it was
like
unique.
If something happened, everyone on FFI knew what happened. Like there wasn't like multiple channels of different scenes. Like now it's like there might be a whole different scene on like TikTok or like Instagram, but like everything happened on FFI. And I love that. Like I think that's just, it was so small and like tight knit.
Yeah, everything was super connected. And then there was like the German forums that we would all like look at and be like, I don't know what's going on there, but did you see this? Like,
yeah.
Like post like a super shiny board. Like, how they get it shiny?
Wow,
Like,
that unlocked a memory for me too. I would go to those and I'd be like, because like you couldn't translate it. You'd put it into like Babelfish and like
Yeah.
it would translate it wrong.
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, and even like Black River, I mean, getting rip tape was super hard.
Yeah.
I actually just made a 26 millimeter deck, and I had one piece of cut rip tape that I
Yeah.
put on it. Like that was
Cool.
currency, and like you'd have to. I don't know, like you'd be like, I have 3 pieces. I have to make this last.
Yep.
So it's really awesome.
Put it on something good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, also like back then, like what I had was what I used.
Yeah.
My first deck was a Preet, which I think is a
That's
Preet.
awesome.
I don't know if it is. Someone told me it's a Preet. It's a zebra wood, red bottom ply, big concave. I always wanted an Evolve deck because I was like, that's gonna make me better. But yeah.
Tell me about when you got sponsored for the first time in fingerboarding.
So, I think it was Rendezvous 2 or 3. I forget which one. It might have been 3. No, it was 2, I think. I don't know. Regardless, I did a trick on it might still be on your YouTube page. It's like a late shove it rock to fakie.
Oh, dude, I remember that.
I was like crazy. Like I don't even know how that happened. When I got home, somehow you got my house number. I don't know how. You must have looked it up or something. And I think you left a message on my house number saying like, you're sponsored by Flatface. And I was like, Mom, like you gotta know what just happened. Like this just happened. And that's honestly like the first big sponsor that I had. I had other sponsors, but it would only last like 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
So that was just really cool. Like I feel like that was in 2007. So I guess that was Rendezvous 2 or 3.
Yeah, probably.
2.
Either one.
Yeah.
Probably 2.
But that was that. I honestly haven't really had many other sponsors, to be honest. After like, it was like Flatface was like the catch-all, you know? Like you had decks, you had like wheels and all that stuff.
Yeah. It was really cool, like, I don't know. Just like sponsoring somebody is so exciting. I feel like it's exciting for both people because it's just like, I get to see the excitement in the person, and then I get even double excited because first I'm like, oh, I hope he says yes. Like, I don't ever think like he's definitely gonna say yes. I'm like, I gotta ask the person if they want to be sponsored, and like hopefully they're down. And then it's just like, oh, cool, he's in. Like, I don't know. I remember just seeing your fingerboarding, and just being like, damn, it's like so clean and stylish. Like this is, and like you meet the person, and it's like, yeah, cool person, we get along, and then it's just like, let's do it.
Yeah. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
It was really cool meeting you in person. I'd also watched your videos. I remember you had a lot of you made a lot of videos too, like back in the day.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like you made as many probably videos as like Taylor Lucas, I feel like.
I was filming all the time, getting home from school, like can't wait to use whatever newest obstacle I got or made, or
Yeah.
there's just always something.
Yeah, I feel like just from there, it's like there's not much to really like touch on. I've just always been obsessed, I think. The thing that I feel like I would say is that around like 2013, I was just not interested. Like the scene kind of took like a weird turn, and it was like when it went from like YouTube to like Instagram, and I didn't understand like short content. Like back in the day, you made a video that was like 30 seconds. Like it was kind of like long, like a 30-second mini or something.
Yeah, with a bunch of different tricks, different angles. Like
Yeah, from
filmed and then
different
put
sessions
together.
maybe too. Like you would hold on to the clips and you'd be like, I'm stacking clips. The Instagram scene really was a turnoff for me. It was too informal, like.
Yeah.
And there was people. I think that also let a lot of people in, and I'm not like gatekeeping at all, but like, I was like, whoa, I can't keep track of all this, And I just lost interest for a little bit. I didn't like stop fingerboarding, but like I came back actually a little bit before the pandemic, seriously fingerboarding. Before that, I kind of just like, it was like 5 years of just like having it at my desk or something.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I think I've always viewed fingerboarding as like it's not a social thing for me. weirdly enough. Like, I like going to, like, rendezvous and, like, seeing everyone's stuff, but I'm into fingerboarding, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's something where it's like, I don't need to party with it. I don't need to, and to each his own, completely. But I've always been like, I want to, like, I, like, still do it now. Like, I just sesh for, like, 20 minutes, and, like, all I do is, like, think about what tricks haven't I done, or, like, something like that. Or, like, it's not a casual thing. And I think when it went to Instagram, it went a little bit too casual. Like, the joke edits, or, like, the keyframed edits where it's, like, moving around. It's, like, it's just not for me. And I think things have really found its groove again.
Yeah, totally. I think, like, it's evolved into something really good now, but it was very weird for a minute. Like, as things online transitioned, like, forums were, like, not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And it was, like, that used to be the whole thing. Like, the online aspect, it was, like, forums and downloading videos to watch, and that was it. And, like, you know, and it was a very, like, you know, there's a few hundred people on there, and, like, you know them all by name, and then you know, like, who at least 50 of them are, like, more in depth. And then, yeah, once it went to Instagram, or, like, yeah, I don't know. Like you said, so many people came in, it was just, like, you don't know who anyone is. And also, like, how do you even find it? You know, it's like, you can't just type in, like, you know, fingerflipping.com/forum and go there, and you know that's where everything is. It's like, you know, you open up Instagram, it's like, how do I find the person to follow, and what, like, what? I don't,
it's even harder now.
And you can't search, like, you saw something cool 3 years ago on Instagram, you'll never find it again. Like, it's so hard.
I'm still trying to find that video where it's like, show me a deck, where the dude kickflips over the tank.
That exists. I saw that, like, a year ago.
I've been on a quest to find that for over 5 years.
I'm gonna find it and send it to you. It's, like, somewhere on YouTube, and I have it, like, somehow, I don't know, maybe it's saved to a thing, or, like, maybe, like, Pat McGinn sent it to me or something like that.
It
But
was
yeah,
like
I saw
kickflip
it.
over a toy tank.
Yeah, kickflip over Army Jeep. That's the name of the video on YouTube.
I need that because I agree. It's like you see something on like Instagram, you can't look up like kickflip back crook on like the red rail or something.
Yeah.
I also feel like this is something that isn't talked about, and I discovered I struggle with this going to like any rendezvous, especially now. I don't know who anyone is, even if I follow you, because all the clips are just from the hand down.
Yeah.
I don't know what you look like at all. So people are like, we follow each other, we've talked. And I'm like, we probably have, but I need to look at your hands for a second. I'm like, you know, so it's weird now because also like everything's vertical. Back in the day, you'd shoot horizontal, you'd have a fisheye lens. I wanted a fisheye so bad. And my first and only fisheye was a Raynox clip-on.
Cool.
Yeah. Until the plastic clips broke.
The QC303, right?
Yeah. On a
I had
Canon
that too.
Elura.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
It wasn't that bad, but yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of not vertical video. Like,
Same.
I don't know. I mean, now it's like you have to film vertical for Instagram in order for people to see it, like, because the algorithm and stuff. So it's almost like it's just forced. And it can look good, but it's not as good. Like, I'm filming everything with real cameras and putting it on YouTube still, and I'll copy it onto Instagram just to get more people to see it. But
I would like to do that, but it's an extra step that I don't want to do anymore. I like, you know, back in the day too, you would like, I wouldn't, you know how some people would use a tape and never use it again?
yeah.
I used the tapes like 20 times through. I would even record over things I should have kept, like, because I was just like desperate, and I would just like use, I remember my teacher gave me like a box of tapes too, and I was like, oh my god, like, even if the heads were like so dirty, like I still used them all. And I remember like, that was like so important, Firewire, like, you know, doing all that. Now I don't think I could go through that. That extra step is like, I want to fill in on my phone and just put it out there.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, like I still do all that with the filming on tapes and stuff, like, depending what camera I'm using. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, you could also, like you said, skip all of that and film it on a phone, and like, people appreciate it just as much. Like, it's like only the older people that know, like, when they see something that was filmed on a tape and it's like nostalgic to them, so they like it. Like, you know, we like to see VX and DVX footage, everybody else, like younger kids, I think they prefer phone footage because it's like 240 frames per second and
Yeah.
no quality edges looking all weird and gray colors and old looking. So it's like,
Yeah.
but it's totally different. And then I guess you have like HD cameras somewhere in the middle, you know, it's like easy to
I still shoot
edit
at
and all that.
1080p.
Yeah.
On your phone, it doesn't matter if it's 4K. Like, I feel like I am a quality snob when it comes to TV. Like, I can't watch something that's 720p. Like, if I go to people's houses and I'm like, you still have a 720p TV? Like, they don't even make those anymore. But for some reason, I never got on the trend of like needing skate footage and fingerboarding footage to be in like the DVX look and feel. It doesn't bother me, but I'm not like craving it. Because to me, I'm like, I didn't know any better. We
Right.
watch like DVDs, they're in like 480p or something. Like, they were pixelated to begin with. Like, we didn't know any better. Now it's like, I'm fascinated with like crisp footage. So I'm actually like, I think aesthetically it's cool to shoot like we used to, but I'm into both.
Yeah, definitely me too. I'm like, on one hand, it's like I'm either gonna film like a DVX edit and like make it look old, or I'm gonna go like the highest quality, super slow mo,
Oh my God.
insane, crisp.
Some of your videos, like from like 6 years ago when it wasn't common, but you still had like the best camera on like the market.
Yeah,
I felt like I could reach through my screen. Like, the quality was so crisp. Like that, I always liked watching your videos because it was like, just to see, like, I could see every it's like I had better vision, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was so crisp.
yeah. It's so crazy when you can capture something and like make it look more, like more than real life. You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, I mean,
crazy.
like when you turn on your TV and it's like, you by mistake flip to like the public access channel or like the Spanish channel or something, and it's like really crisp somehow. I like that.
They know
Or like
what they're doing.
the up converted TVs or whatever. I like that.
dude, yeah, we could talk about like video quality for way too long.
Yeah. That's honestly the fingerboarding stuff. Like, oh, I do think what's cool, I mean, I was thinking about like, what are some like non-common things I've experienced? Aside from like the rendezvous and stuff, the Tech Deck Championship was really cool. Which is like a really like high viewed video on YouTube. They actually hid the comments because like all the comments were hateful. They were like, "Look at these losers." But that was crazy. Like, I got invited to, and you were too. You were there. Yeldo was there. Conrad Muscarella. I just went through the names. Maverick, and Deshaun Harris was there, and it was just really cool. Like, they had I like to tell this, like, this is my like fun fact. If I like have to tell someone like, what's your fun fact? They had like, do you remember it was like in the half pipe, and they had the ramps
Yeah.
set up within the vert ramp.
Yeah, on the flat.
And they had like big cameras that were streaming it to the Jumbotron. It was unreal, honestly. And then at the end, Tony Hawk was like the one giving out like the big checks, and I placed third, and I have my check still. And like, I remember like a couple of years ago, I was like talking to my girlfriend, and I was like, we got to find a good spot for this in the house. And she's like, it's not going in, like, you can put it in your office, but like, it's not going in like the living room. And I had to like take a second to be like, I do kind of understand why that wouldn't belong in like the living room, but it's like, it's just cool. It's like, I think my first and only big check I'll ever probably like receive. So,
You never know. I heard you're doing some pretty big things, so.
I mean, yeah, I'll probably not get a big check from that. So, I don't think many people have big check moments.
I don't think I've got a big check before. Like, not like that anyways.
It's so weird. I had to go on the subway with it.
Is it like huge, or is it
It's
like...
what you just...
Wow,
it's like that
it's like
big.
4 feet?
It's like foam core. Yeah. It's like
Sick.
It's big. Yeah.
So when you get a check like that, how do you deposit it? Do they also give you a real check, or are the numbers on there and you just like...
It's fake. They had me sign like stuff with like my bank information and stuff.
Okay, so
and
they're
then
just gonna send you
it's
the
also
money.
taxed too,
Yeah.
which a lot of people don't realize that in like celebrity, like reality shows. When they win like $1 million, you really win like 700,000 or something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Crazy. How much was your check for?
It was 1,000.
Sick.
I think.
And that's a lot when you're a little kid. Like, how old were we all back then?
I wasn't little. I was.
Really?
I was in my.
Oh yeah, no, I was like 18.
I was
17.
in my junior year of college.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. It wasn't as long ago as I thought.
But it was crazy because I wasn't gonna go. I got the invite, and I was like, it was like the first couple days of like college, and I had transferred to the city, and I was very uncomfortable. I wasn't like planted, you know, like I didn't know where
I know
what I was doing. And I remember telling my dad, I was like, I want to go to this, but I don't really feel like I'm ready. And he's like, no, you have to go.
Cool.
And so we went, and it was really cool.
That's awesome.
I still have a bunch of the ramps. I think I got rid of a lot of them that were kind of crappy. But like what's that blue rail that's down like the big 4 set? Like, not Pulaski. It's, 3rd and Army? No, that's the, I don't know, there's some famous spot with like a blue rail. It's like a gap, and then there's 2 blue handrails, short, tall handrails. I still have that set because I liked the 4 stair that came with it, but I got rid of a lot. I got rid of a lot of the tech deck ramps that I'm like not cool with. Like they're, you know, but
Yeah, that's sweet. I also almost didn't go to that event. It was like I was talking to my mom, like, hey, can you drive us and stuff? And then she's like, yeah. And then I was like, nah, I don't want to go. And then I think it was like the night before, I was like, Mom, can we go tomorrow? And a bunch of my friends want to come too. Can you drive us all? And like she was just like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So it was really a last minute, like, barely went there, and it turned out to be awesome.
it was awesome. And you got to meet Tony Hawk too.
I got to meet Tony Hawk.
Didn't you give him a deck?
No, dude, this is super fried. So like I was, I was like 18 or so. I was like still learning how to like use planet Earth and all that. So I didn't know what the heck was going on. And I met Tony Hawk, and like, I don't know. I didn't want to like sound like I was bragging or something, so I like didn't tell him anything about, like, I should have, looking back at it, I should have said like, yeah, I'm Mike Schneider, like I'm a pro fingerboarder, whatever, like tell him a little bit about what I do, maybe that I have a company, or like
Maybe he wouldn't have sponsored with Hot Wheels.
Anyway, so I just said, hi, I'm Mike, and I took a picture with him and I walked out. And then I told my dad that, and he was like, you said what? You only said that? Because, like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, he'll ask me about all of it. Like, not thinking very well. Like, I guess that's a downside to, like, using the forums all the time instead of, like, socializing in real life when you're, like, younger. But, that was a cool lesson, because now I'm like, if I ever meet Tony Hawk again, I'm going to tell him what's up. I'm going to introduce myself properly.
Definitely.
And have a real conversation. And, like, it's cool to like learn that lesson by it would have been nice to learn it in like something that was like lower stakes, but it's cool.
You talk to him more than I talk to him.
I mean, I've always looked up to him a lot.
Same.
And it's crazy, like watching a lot of his content later, like now, like in podcasts and stuff, and like we have so many similarities, it's like ridiculous. Like he bought a house at the same age that I did, and like, which is like uncommon, like in high school, and it was just like all these random things that were like the same.
Did you read his book?
I did.
I think he might only have one book, but it's like red and black.
Mine was orange and black.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, dude, I had that in 4th grade. I remember I was reading it during class. The teacher comes over and like looks at it, slams it shut, takes it away. Don't you ever bring this book back to my class. You can pick it up at the end of class and get rid of it. And I was like, what? Why? Like, I was so shocked, because it's a Tony Hawk book. It's cool.
That's so weird.
I guess there was a swear on that page, and she saw it or something. And it was 4th grade,
He did. I remember there's a couple chapters where he talks about, like, his struggles, or, like, being young, like, having, like, failed marriages and stuff, and, like, all that stuff. It was a really good book.
I gotta read it again. I still have it, I think.
Ever since you shut the book, you never finished it.
No, I finished it for sure. I was obsessed with that book. But
it was good. But yeah, I've always looked up to him too. Like even before reading that book, like, which is a pretty good segue, honestly, because it's bound to happen. And if Henry or Kevin are watching this, they'll probably laugh, because all we do, honestly, when we're driving up to like the rendezvous, is talk about Tony Hawk, Underground, and like Underground 2. But all the Tony Hawk games also made my interest in skateboarding just like tenfold.
Yeah, me too.
Some people like have like Skate and stuff. Like I actually didn't have Skate when Skate was out. I remember watching like your clips and stuff and being like, I wish I had an Xbox 360. But I honestly, Tony Hawk 1 and 2, like I liked the soundtracks probably more than like the actual games. Tony Hawk 3 was the first GameCube game I ever got, and now I'm a purist. Like all the Tony Hawks, in my opinion, should be played on GameCube. I know a lot of people
I
are like
the GameCube the best too, actually.
all the
that's what I
buttons are
always had.
closer together. Like
Oh.
I feel like I can get to grind a lot easier. So honestly,
Cool.
I played a lot of Tony Hawk Underground. That's probably like that's my favorite game of all time.
Nice.
The idea of like being a pro skater and playing make believe and like talking to Chad Muska, he like throws you the deck. The whole like thing of like filming, like doing the McTwist over the helicopter and shit. Like I played it recently and it's like still good. You can
Yeah.
beat it in like a couple hours, honestly.
Whoa.
But those games, honestly, like if I wasn't fingerboarding, which is basically taking an obsession of skateboarding and just translating it because you just love skateboarding, I was simulating skateboarding in Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. Like if I wasn't fingerboarding or skateboarding, I was playing Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
And later on playing skate, but really Tony Hawk, like in the early days, that was a huge thing for me. Like especially 3 and 4, those were my favorites. And yeah, like you mentioned the soundtracks too. Like it's more than nostalgia. It's like good music too. It's just good energy and everything. Like
Oh,
unbelievable.
I like all those memes where like the guy is turning to the girl like yelling in her ear. It's like, this song was on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Because I actually like identify with that. Because I'm like, I can tell you like what game it was in, and yeah, 4 is awesome. 4 is underrated, I think, actually.
Yeah.
3 is great because I love the idea of like all the levels are on like 411 VM tapes.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I would also just do the cheat code to watch all the clips.
Dude, I loved watching the clips. Like, it's really crazy how all this stuff goes back to fingerboarding, and it's like, even if you're doing a crazy combo in Tony Hawk, you're not necessarily doing that combo on a fingerboard, but you're still just like, there's that skateboarding energy that's just like going through the roof the whole time. It's like, you might get subconsciously influenced by like an obstacle you saw in the game or something like that. And it's just,
Totally.
there's always something like, you can't get bored with fingerboarding because as soon as you do, you just look to skateboarding in any of its forms, whether it's videos or actually skateboarding or watching people or playing a video game, and then it's just you're back. You're hyped again 30 seconds later.
That I had never thought of it that way, but that's absolutely true. I feel like what I love about skateboarding, just the whole concept of it, is like, and I don't know if you ever like thought about this, but like the Earth and like what we've built on the Earth for human function, somehow, like you'd think at some point they'd stop building stuff that's like a slope, like, from the ground, like a slope with like a perfect handrail that's not too high. And it's just like, it's amazing, like the fact that like what started out as like mimicking surfing then was like, oh no, like I could gap this because look at how perfect this like grass gap is. Like that's, to me, that's why I like fingerboarding too, why I never get bored, because if I don't have an obstacle that I'm super jazzed about, like you were just fingerboarding on like the couch cushion.
Yeah.
And like it's the same thing. It's like I can make a spot out of that. The way it's like intended, not intended to be seen, you can turn into like a spot. Binders back in the day, I would like skate on because of like a slope.
Yeah.
Like I just think it's so cool the way once you see the world through like a skateboarder's like view, you really can't get bored at all.
Yeah, everything is interesting. Like seeing stairs somewhere is like fun. Even if you don't have your board with you, just seeing it and imagining like, oh, that's a good set. Or like, that's a nice leg.
I've wanted to make an Instagram account of, in like, if I'm watching a movie, pausing it and being like spots that I can't like go to, but would look really great. My girlfriend was playing the new Metroid remake,
Sick.
and when you turn to the ball, there's a part where you literally have to like rock back and forth in a half pipe.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's so sick. Like, I'm just like, I can't unsee.
Dude,
it.
that would be a coffee table book. That would be so cool to have it as a real thing. Like, just like 200 pages of like, and it shows what it's from and stuff. Just like spots from like.
Do you follow Tony Hawk Hawkitecture on Reddit?
No.
It's basically that, but buildings. Like,
Awesome.
you know that like famous spot with like the quarter pipes that go up. It's like a bank, I think, and they're like quarter pipes that go up like the wall. People find images like that, like weird architecture in like Sweden, where like the rooftops are like all curved, and they'll just post it, and like everyone will be like, "Oh, this would totally be in Tony Hawk." Like,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Amazing. Yeah, like we're all used to it, but the way that we see the world is so much different than like people who've never skateboarded before.
yeah. I'm sure that you still do this now, like driving the car, be like, "Oh, that's a great spot."
Yeah.
And people are probably sick of hearing that. Like, I say it without even wanting anything back in return. It's just for myself.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. What was your biggest mistake in life?
Wow, that is a heavy question. The biggest mistake in my life. I know there's like, this isn't like a singular thing, but like as a whole, throughout my life, I've been unnecessarily shy, like to the point where I've robbed myself of a lot of life experience. Like, a lot of people at my age like have been like, "Oh, I did all that stuff when I was in my like 20s and all that stuff," and I had such, I didn't realize it, but I had such like bad anxiety and like inner thoughts, and like I just was like crippled to the point where I didn't do a lot of socializing like that I could have. I canceled a lot of plans for like, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll hang out," and then for some reason I'd be like, I'm not going to, and I've missed a lot of really great moments in life that I really wish I could have done. I don't know if that's not a mistake. That's more of like a regret.
No, that's very powerful for sure. And like, where do you find yourself with it now? Like, a little bit better now that you're like aware of it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my girlfriend has really, it's been tough. Like, don't get me wrong, when someone like shows you how like you haven't really been living to your full potential or something. I'm still not, but I feel like she kind of showed me like how like little I've done, you know, or could have been doing at this point. So at this point, I feel like what's changed is I've gone to therapy. I mean, that's something that everyone should honestly go to. I feel like if you say you don't need it, you could still go to it and you could still benefit from it. I feel like that has helped me kind of like step back a little bit. It's an ongoing process. You're never cured. You're never better. But to me, that's kind of like my biggest mistake, is like not doing things that I look back and I'm like, why did I even like freeze? Why did I panic? Why did I talk myself out of it? Why did I not wear that article of clothing that I thought was cool, but thought that it wasn't me? Like, I had this image of myself and I stuck really close to it, and I kind of still do. I think we all kind of do, but like, I regret not just being confident and like being brave and just being like, if I wanted to wear the purple Andrew Reynolds America shoes, like I should have gotten them, and I didn't. And that's like a really trivial example, but now therapy, and also just like putting yourself out there to a certain degree. I feel like everyone should have like a little bit of privacy, but like a good example is like the Rendezvous. I used to go to like walk around, talk to only people I knew, and I would be at the table and like fingerboard, and I wouldn't look up at like either sides, and I had the spotlight effect a lot. Not even just fingerboarding, in public, I thought people were looking at me all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not that important. No one's looking at me.
Nobody is actually, like, a lot of that's very common. Everybody feels like, oh, you know, if I go out, like, people are going to be looking at me, and what if I do something weird, or like, and the reality is, like, nobody's looking at you more than the next person, and
Yeah.
there's 100 people around, and like, even if it's just you and one other person in the room, they're going to miss like 80% of what you do.
Totally.
So it's like, you know, if you're eating and it falls out of your mouth, chances are no one saw it. And if someone did saw it, they're like, oh, mine just fell out of my mouth, but he didn't see mine.
Yeah.
Like, we're all really on the same level after all. And
How you play it off too.
yeah.
A lot of people say like just laugh it off, and it's like that I never really agreed with. I was like, no, it's like it was really embarrassing, or like I didn't look cool enough. No one's cool, to be honest. Like everyone's got their weird things. Everyone makes things that are like awkward or whatever. So like the last rendezvous, I just went and talked to people, and it was awesome. It was
Yeah.
great. So I'm not like, I still have like a lot of like moments where I'm like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. Or that's not me. That's the stupidest sentence anyone could say. That's not me. It's like, if you want it to be you, you can. I didn't think I could wear a hat for a long time.
Well, because you hadn't been wearing a hat before.
Yeah. And I'm like, if I wear a hat, everyone's going to be like, who's that guy wearing a hat? Like, you didn't wear a hat before.
Yeah.
I hated that. Like, when you first got glasses, and you walk into school and everyone's like, you got glasses or you got a haircut? And I hate those situations. But now it's like, I don't care. I really don't care.
Do you know why all of that started? Is there any like...
I think, honestly, being made fun of was the first moment that I saw that people looked at me.
Was that for fingerboarding or in general?
It was for fingerboarding. Because I was, like, in 8th grade playing with a toy that everyone saw as just a toy. Mm-hmm. And it was, I bet you for a lot of those other people, they thought they might not have been doing much by making jokes or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
But it impacted me a lot. I look back on it and it's like, I could not hold on to that. It doesn't matter to me. But I think that's where I was like, holy shit, like, people look at me. And that means a lot of the things that I look at other people and think about, like, I'm no better, you know? Like, I became very judgmental because of the negative attention I got. Mm-hmm. I kind of was like, wow, like, this is something that's going on. I'll be more, like, keyed into it. And then I started to kind of, like, fall down that path. And so
yeah,
that's kind of where it started. But
interesting. Yeah. I don't know, like... Yeah, I guess, like, how people treat you, like, when you're young, it really has a big impact on where you go. And, like, it's partly how you respond or how the people around you respond to how you respond. Like, it's very complicated. It's not just, like, you can't look at it and be like, oh, I should have handled it differently.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, you handled it exactly how you handled it. Like, that's the journey you get to go through. And then, like, you know, when you grow up and then later you realize, like, oh, cool, like, now I'm ready to move past it and learn from it, like, what positive things you can learn from it. And then, like, you know, become more comfortable, like, trying new things and doing, you know, things that you might have thought people are going to make fun of you. And it's like, no matter what you do, somebody is going to make fun of you, even if you do the cool thing in the moment or whatever. So it's just like, screw it all, you know, who cares anymore? But yeah.
I want to get there, right? Like, I think I agree with that. I think that's one of those things that's easier said than done.
Totally.
To be just walk out into the world and be like, take me for who I am, and I'm going to do whatever I want, and it doesn't matter. Like, to some degree, it's always something that's like, you have to be cognizant of. I just wish I didn't think that the people who made fun of me were better than me and cool.
Yeah.
Because they weren't. And
No,
like, I'm not saying I'm
definitely
cooler. I just feel like everyone's got their own thing, and it's like, it just kills me. Like, now I see fingerboarding and I'm just like, shit, like, it's so cool now. Or like, no one even thinks about it.
Yeah.
I really wish it was a little bit different back then, but that's how things were, honestly.
Totally. I mean, anything you did that wasn't like super normal, you'd get made fun of back in the day. And I feel like maybe our culture at this point is more accepting, like you mentioned earlier, of things that are weird or different. It's like, oh, that's cool that you do that thing that no one does. And before it was like, oh, that's kind of strange that you do that. Like, why do you do that? So hopefully kids don't have to go through that now, or not as much. I know it happens sometimes. Kids ask me like, hey, you got advice for this? Or but it's not super common anymore. So I think it's changing.
There will always be that dickhead
Yeah.
who skateboards, who views skateboarding as this like militant thing where it's like, this is skateboarding. Why would you ever go and my least favorite example is like people who are like, I only fingerboard when it's raining and I can't skate. It's like, why would you do that? Like, there's no rule.
They're trying to act like it's cool, like, oh yeah, I'm not actually a fingerboarder. It's just like, I have no other choice right now. And in reality, they love it, and they're afraid of somebody judging them, I think.
Yeah.
And it's probably the same thing you're describing, just like, in their own way, expressing that.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I agree.
But if it makes you feel any better for, like, the self-conscious thing, not, like, for example, like, when I see people, I never know what clothes they're wearing. Like, if I was, like, hanging out with you, unless you mention it, then it's different. But if you didn't, I'd probably, like, at the end of the day, if someone was like, what color shirt was he wearing? Was he wearing a hat? Was he wearing blah, blah, blah shoes? If we hadn't talked about those things, I'd be like, I have no idea at all. And, like, two other people in the room with me, I don't know what they're wearing either. Like, if I close my eyes right now, I can't really tell you. Because it's just, some people notice that stuff for sure, and some people might even make fun of it or whatever, and then you get the other end of the spectrum where people like me have no clue.
Yeah.
So it's like, not everybody cares about how you look or what you're doing or anything,
That must be like also just what you care about, what you value. Like, I've never cared so much about, like, I've always liked what I like, and then, like, that's how I, like, dress myself. Like, I know what I like.
Yeah.
I've always been, like, a beefy tee, like, Hanes, like, graphic t-shirt guy. And that always just felt right to me. I feel like I've never actually cared what other people wear, but as a defense mechanism, especially being made fun of, it's something that I can't unsee. Sometimes it's like you do assess other people just to see what your surroundings are. And
it does.
Yeah,
it has an impact for sure. Like, what somebody is wearing, it's like their outward presentation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like there's so much more to it than that. Like, you could have two people in the same exact uniform that are completely different people.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I wouldn't ever want to go to uniforms.
Well, not uniform, but outfit. I meant to say outfit,
but honest. Like, that's the complete opposite, where it's like,
right.
Thank God we don't have to wear uniforms.
Dude,
we're all the same.
Imagine fingerboarding teams had uniforms.
I do love team shirts, I will say. I've been seeing a couple more at the VU, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Should I make some Flatface ones?
Yeah, I still have my yellow one.
Sick.
It doesn't fit me anymore. It's like, it was a medium and it shrunk to a small. But that shirt is like, that's like an NFT at this point, So,
yeah,
someone's going to comment being like, that's not an NFT. I don't know what I'm talking about, to be honest.
This episode is sponsored by Goo Limited. They've just sent me their brand new drop, which is actually happening today. So I'm going to open them in real time, get a real reaction. This is a special one they sent for me. If you spend over $100, you get this special coffin package. So, wow. Sick. Holy crap. They got really cool holographic stickers too. Comes with tape. Wow, even more stickers. But anyways, the board. Whoa, yeah. The top ply, super sick. Bottom looks like a RealWear graphic. The unique thing about these is they have this old school shape, but it's like a super unique, like, like shaped shape. It's not just the old school shape, but it's got like the kind of grooves on the side, which is super sick. They've got tons of stickers in here, a bunch of holographic ones, which really stand out. Yeah, super cool. I'm very thankful for them, not only for the cool boards, but also for supporting the podcast in general, sponsoring the first episode. Super cool. So this is their standard packaging, and it says right here, push or pull, so you can go like that and get your board. And yeah, these are super nice. So these are the new pro models that dropped today for their team riders. Wow. Dang. If you get clear ducky tape, you can show off your top ply too. These are absolutely epic. Yeah, the shape is really nice. I would say like medium kicks, and well, here, yeah, concave also, kind of deep concave, medium to deep. Feels good for sure. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, they got all kinds of shapes. Insane. Look at that. Rounded tail, square nose, and these little cool groove things. I don't know what those are even called, but when he showed me those, I was like super hyped. Yeah, and they feel good. They're like almost sharp, but not sharp. Like super, yeah, super even craftsmanship. Super nice. And then the third one. Oh yeah. There you can really see what I'm talking about with those grooves on the side. So sick. And the top plies are crazy. And the graphics are gnarly. Like, if you're into haunted Halloween and stuff, this is epic. They all, yeah, let me show you all of them. So there's these three. You got this guy. You got that guy. You got that guy. And then you got eyeballs too, so you can see what's going on using your eyes. And yeah, these are super sick. So check out gooltd.com today. The day that this podcast is being dropped is when their boards are being dropped. So check them out. And you can check them out on Instagram, goo.ltd. One more amazing thing that I forgot or didn't even notice actually, because I was so excited about these boards. They're all awesome, and I'm like, top ply is so cool, shape so cool, and I didn't even realize this graphic, this special board, is a recycled skateboard bottom ply. So if you look closely underneath the real wear graphic and in between the eyes, you can already see it. There's skateboard bottom ply, like all the plies going this way. And so it's like vertical stripes. So I'm so stoked to use this thing, set it up and shred it, and then, you know, as the graphic comes off, it's going to be more apparent that it's a recycled skateboard bottom ply. So yeah, super sick. I think we can learn a lot from our own, like, understanding ourselves in both our like biggest strengths and biggest weaknesses. So kind of like, you know, either what are your biggest strengths or what are your biggest weaknesses, and what have you learned from either one of them, really?
I think my biggest weakness is self-consciousness. I mean, I hate to like use the same answer, but that's honestly stunted a lot of my life experience. I present a lot at my job, and like a while ago, I used to like shake. And I would be so afraid of what I said. I'd be afraid of what other people, like, I would always think like, if like I'm in a conference call and like I'm presenting, everyone on my team was like, shut up, like, why are you saying this? You're saying it all wrong. And that just applies to many other things. I constantly feel like my weakness is just like caring about what other people think. Like even now, if I like label a trick wrong on like Instagram, I'm like instantly like, oh my God, I have to go edit it. So stuff like that, I feel like is something that I'm always working on. Like I'm currently right now working on just like believing in myself and like trying to like myself. Because it's like, I don't care if other people, if everyone loved me, that's awesome. But like, if you don't like yourself, that's half the battle. That's a huge weakness of mine. A strength is creativity, I think. I've always, I'm like a sandbox person. Like, and I think that's why I like skateboarding in general. I'm not like analytical. I'm not like someone who like a good example is, I was just telling someone this. I love Legos, like I still do, especially Lego video games. Those are so much fun. You're never too old to play those games. I'm just gonna put that out there. I feel like when I get a Lego set, I first do it by the book. I build it, and then I crush it up, and then add it. I used to. I don't have them anymore, but I used to add it to all of my other Legos. And then I would dump out all my Legos on the floor, and then sit and build whatever I wanted to. I never was interested in just building it and putting it on the shelf and being like, I did it.
Yeah.
So if you apply that to the rest of the stuff, like I think that's where I have gotten a lot of like creativity, like design, art, music, skateboarding, fingerboarding. Like, I like fingerboarding because it's like there's always a trick you've never done, which is crazy.
It's unbelievable. 20 years later, and there's still tricks we haven't done.
Yeah. On a certain obstacle or whatever. So I think like that to me is like, that's what helped me in so many different ways. In my career, it's helped me. It's like my whole job is like problem solving for like advertising. So it's like, for me, it's like I'm given a brief, right? I'm given a problem where they're like, we need to do X, Y, Z. And then I have to take that and be like, well, we could do it this way. We could do it this way. And then it's like, we could design it this way or this way or this way. And that's the same thing. If you're filming a mini, right, it's the same exact thing. It's like, I could just do kickflip back crook, or I could do kickflip back crook, like, you know, nollie flip out. And it's like, I just love the idea of like getting the blank canvas and using what you have and doing that. And that's helped me tenfold.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're definitely a super creative person, and I feel like there's so much that can come out of being creative. Like, you basically just said it, but like if you take fingerboarding, you have it, and it's like, if you're not creative, you're just gonna do what you do, and you might not even think about it. But if you're creative, it's like, you think like, all right, where am I going next? What can I make better about this? How can I make it weird or different or like new? And that's how you, I think, stay interested in it in the long run and get other people interested in it, because they see your content and it stands out, because it's like, wow, how did he even think about that? Not only did he think about that, but then he figured out how to do it, and he did it.
I'm so glad you said that, honestly, because like, that's what separates who I watch and who I don't watch. Because I think one of the things I didn't like for a long period of time was when parking blocks were really popular. And it's like, you can't sash a parking block and do tech tricks on it and make me care. I also don't want to see one obstacle every single time, a rail edit where you do kickflip back crook, kickflip 5-0. I just like, I want to see like, do that on a different way, do that in a different obstacle. And I feel like fingerboarding, it's like you have the desk people who just fingerboard at their desk, and you've got people who like really do it like the way you're saying it, where it's like, how do I take this and make it different? How do I think that's honestly, like, you know, like you're saying, that's how you get people to keep watching.
Yeah.
I think actually this is a weird translation, but I love Nigel Houston. I think he's like one of the best skateboarders of all time. But I would love to see less handrail footage, because he's done it. And it's like, I know what you can do on a handrail. I want to see you skate ledges or something. Like, I feel like he just constantly doing the same thing, and like, it gets stale.
Yeah, definitely.
I really hope he doesn't watch this.
Dude, I hope he does watch this, because that would be epic.
That'd be crazy.
And then he'll come out with the ledge part, and he'll be like, see, Tim, I can skate ledges.
That would be awesome.
You doubted me, but I could do it.
Yeah.
No.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. It's cool also that you mentioned like creativity in terms of your job, because I feel like so many jobs have little to no room for creativity at all, and which is totally fine, because most people are actually not creative. I know that sounds kind of, but according to what I've heard, it's like, a majority of people are not creative.
Yeah.
They're more like, standard whatever, and then, creativity wouldn't be a thing if everyone had it.
Yes.
It only exists because I think in the fingerboarding community, probably 95% of people are creative, but if you take like a general population survey, like who's creative and not, it's going to be a small, 10-20%, whatever they say.
We need the analytical people.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
You don't want me as a finance person or anything like that. Like, I'll bring your company down. I've always just, I think, well, I have art in like my family as well. So I think that actually, I knew I was creative because I hated other things. I was like, I can't do this. I struggled through school. I didn't like fail or anything, but like everything except for English, art, that was it. Like I was like not that great at bio, history. I honestly couldn't do it. So like to me that was always like the outlet and being in charge. I think I also like being the person that makes the decisions on what things should look like. Or it's like, I liked making a fingerboard company. Like, I'm just playing make-believe, honestly. I'm making decks only to make a brand, and I'm having a blast. I'm finding myself designing more than I do in my actual job, and it's more for fun. And I'm making so many graphics where I'm like, I don't even have like an idea of like a set of graphics like you're supposed to do. I'm just making one-offs, and I'm like, this would be, this would be really cool, and that's super fun to me. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about your brand? Like, it's really cool. We got a couple of them here. This is the one you made me, and then yours that you brought. And I mean, I don't think there's anything like this happening right now, which is a cool thing to be able to say about a fingerboard, because there's hundreds of brands now doing everything you can think of. Yeah,
I think what I would want to say is, I really appreciate that. I think that's really cool that like you notice that. Partly, there's a couple reasons why I'm making them this way. So just to take there's no like veil or anything, but like just to like unravel this. These are made between two tech decks, and partly, I like that because back in the day, that's how you made decks. There was no mold. You could do epoxy molds. I didn't know how to do that. I had no idea. I didn't even know how to use like a hammer back in the day. So like, I'm pressing them between two tech decks, and it's cool because it's not actually like a tech deck in the end. It gets a more organic shape, and one of my biggest complaints with modern decks is that one, all the molds, you can buy a mold on Etsy. I did it. I bought a mold on Etsy. I actually stopped making them with that after making two decks because it felt generic to me. It was like the next person could make and sell decks using this template, and why would anyone want to use mine aside from the graphic? The other thing is that I have limited tools. I got the sanding belt thing, but I don't have a router, so shapers are not for me yet. I have a router, but it's not in the table. Like, I don't know how to do that. So this is fun because I press the deck, and it's like a gumball machine. Like, every time you're like, this is so cool. And then I outline it, and then I hand shape it, like, by eye. Yeah. And then I'm, like, in my office with, like, wood shavings, with, like, a sanding block, and I'm like, okay, it's, like, round, it's roundish. And then I called it Everyday Fingerboards because, for a couple of reasons. And I actually, for anyone who has one, if they got it with, like, in a baggie, I gave a lot away at Rendezvous, sold a couple, which is really cool. There's a little spiel in it that says, like, this deck is not special. What you bring to it is what makes it special. Because I've always thought, no deck can make you good. I've seen a couple of people talk about this, like woobs. Like, people think that by tracking down a woob, getting a woob, they're going to be instantly good. And it's not, it's like, it's who you are, what you bring, your skill, your ability. So it's like, in the end of the day, all decks are the same. This is nothing special. It's what you bring to it. And then I thought, in that case, this should not be sacred. Like, I would love for someone to use this and beat it up, sit on it. I don't care. I just want these to be used, and I actually really like them. Like, I like the long nose and tail. A lot of my other issues with modern decks is because of shapers. You have, without a doubt, the same shape every single time. So if your shaper has a small nose, a small tail, it's going to have a small tail no matter what, and I can't perform with that. So this, to me, is, like, ideal for me. And then, in the end, I also say on the little spiel that says, like, if this isn't for you, give it to someone else to pass it on. Because I really believe in, like, the joy of fingerboarding. It's like, if someone was struggling, and this would be something that they might be interested in, I would want to give one to them. And I actually stole that from Kendama. Kendama, people, it's always about spreading the Kendama, like, love and all that shit. And so that, to me, is, like, something I never thought about. I was always like, this is my collection. Like, but now that I can make these, and they're kind of, like, worthless to me, I would love people to try them out. And I like actually admitting that they're just made from tech decks because it kind of, like, Oh God, that feels so good, like just to say, because it's like, who cares? It's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool the way that, because this is how like, I remember Brandon Jones, I feel like primos were made between two tech decks. I'd made one between two old tech decks, and it's with the 26, it's a 26 millimeter.
Dude, this is sick.
Those are Flatface G6s. So I've been having, like I said, I'm playing Make Believe. It's really fun. And I'm doing paper graphics, and I'm using Mod Podge for the clear coat, and it's awesome.
That's
It
so
looks,
sick.
it's durable.
Yeah.
Like I have the
Yeah,
deck
mine's
I'm
awesome.
using right now has just I hand cut out the star, and I Mod Podged it on, and I was like, I really hope this stays. It's on there forever.
Yeah.
So, and I'm doing like split plies and shit, so
So cool.
it's fun.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I like everything about it. Like I said before, it's just totally unique and makes it really special. And I love what you said about, like, you know, if you don't like this board, give it to the next person,
Yeah.
rather than just, like, you know, just holding on to it, putting it in a drawer and never see it again or something. Like, because every board that you don't like is, like, the next person's favorite board.
Totally.
It's going to be.
Totally, especially in the beginning of someone's fingerboarding. I've seen a lot of people who collect them, and there's like nothing wrong with that. Which one do I want? I want this one. I've seen a lot of people who collect them, and don't get me wrong, I love my collection. There are some decks I will never pass on. A lot of those are relics though, so like it's not like modern day decks. But there's a lot of things that like people get, and I'm not saying that you have to sesh every single deck super hard, but like I am someone who sets up decks very slowly because I use things like to really get to like know them. And then I'm like, I have decks from people, like I feel like if Zach Holden's watching this, like I have cryptic decks that I will set up. I will. It might be next year. But like I'm just coming around to certain decks. Duck decks, I like there's some decks where I'm like, I really want to set that up. I just don't think I'm going to put enough attention to it. And I just love like that gives me something to look forward to, honestly. And it's always fun. It's like the gumball machine. You don't know what's going to be your favorite deck. Flat-face decks for a long time were my favorite. That's just how it was. G12s were like peak for me.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah. I mean, you also use the same deck for a while, I've noticed.
Yeah, I do. When I find one that I like, because I don't like most fingerboards. I mean, like, I'm super picky with them.
Yeah.
And I would say, I don't know, 9 out of 10 boards that I set up get taken apart in like a few days because I can tell right away if I like it a lot or not.
Yeah.
And then when I find one that I really like, I'm going to use it for like 6 months to 10 years. Like, I have some setups
Yeah.
literally from 10 years ago that are still the same and I still use, like,
That sounds like
and I'll
someone
use
I know.
it for a month or two and then
I was shocked when you showed up to the rendezvous, and I was like, "What? You're not using, but you're using the same wheels, the pink wheels from the MakerBot commercial."
Oh yeah, we were just talking about the MakerBot experience.
That was cool. But yeah, I mean, I feel like also wheels too. I have a couple of reasons why I use the same set of wheels forever. If I take them off, I'm not going to know what they are. Like the minute I got the wheels that you sent me, like the Black River edition wheels and like the G4s, I was like, this is going on these trucks, and I'm never taking them off because now I know those are those wheels.
Yeah.
Unless they're like different colors, I have those little pill containers, like the FBS store containers, and it's filled with wheels, and I only know what the colored ones are. All the white ones, I'm guessing, are G6. So, yeah, the MakerBot thing was cool. I still have a couple of those ramps.
Sick.
I don't know what happened. Some of them were not functional,
Yeah.
but some of them like were really good.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like they made the quarter pipe with like the railing on the back where you like people would stand. Like I like that. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I still have MakerBot stickers from that. I hoard a lot. Like I was talking to Doug, like we collect things and like I really don't get rid of stuff. I don't trade a lot.
Yeah.
I love looking at your collection because it's like you also have like things where it's like God forbid you got rid of that, like you wouldn't have that. And like for someone to keep all of that, like you're a pretty good person to keep all of those decks.
Wait till you see the rest of them. I have
You
way
have
more. Dude,
Holy shit.
that's nothing. That's like a tenth of it.
Was that what was in your room? Or
Some of it.
Okay.
I didn't finish putting them up.
okay, yeah, it's probably a very arduous task.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I'm trying to take a photo of each one and then write about it, which is a lot of work.
I've read
and
that
it's
page.
slowing me down from putting all the boards up. I'm like, should I just put them all up and not do that? 'Cause I wanna
No,
put them
no,
up. But
you
it's
gotta
like,
finish it.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I've
why
visited
I haven't done
that
it.
page and read the same paragraphs multiple times because
Awesome.
that's the only place, honestly, that's doing like an archive like that. I think it's really cool. I love the story behind each thing too. My favorite deck that I own is the Gary Chin Flatface Pro model with the guitar.
Sick.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sick.
Whoa, that's an old one.
Yeah,
Is it a wood print or a paper?
the wood print.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's a really old one.
I got it at Rendezvous too.
Nice.
So
Dang, I should get like a spare printer and just make some wood prints. Like, it always breaks it,
Yeah.
but it's like, could be worth it.
I'm too afraid to do that. One thing I like about the paper graphics is like my girlfriend's hairdresser, shout out, gave us his printer,
Nice.
and that was the only print. That's the first printer I've ever owned.
Wow.
I got ink for it, used a ream of paper that he gave me. I have no idea what what type of paper it is. It's really dull, but when you use the Mod Podge, it brings it to life, and
Nice.
it's like so nice. So I just really like paper graphics. I think it's cool.
Yeah, me too. I prefer paper graphics, actually. Like, I really don't ride graphic decks that often either. Like,
Yeah.
people probably notice that. I don't know why, but I just like wood even more. But yeah, when it's graphic, it's like, I prefer paper over like real wear and stuff.
Yeah, I see people selling all these decks on like Instagram, and it's like, why would I buy that? The graphic's gone. That's the
That's a
problem
good
with like
point. I
real
never
wear.
thought of it that way either.
At least it would look a little less thrashed, even if it was.
Yeah, no, I mean, paper graphics, you can't tell how much I use this. If I used it a ton or a tiny bit, and it's like, in a few years, it's going to look like that with a few little scratches, and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, this has just honestly, the Mod Podge is pretty good. It's just got the stuff from like the obstacles.
I was thinking how you mentioned a little bit of your job, how you get to be creative at your job.
Yeah.
How does your job kind of like fit into your life in terms of like, you know, what does it bring you personally, not just money, but like, you know, what does it mean to you and why?
Well, I kind of mentioned it earlier. I couldn't be doing anything else. Again, you don't want me as a brain surgeon, like doing brain surgery on you. Like, I know what I'm not. So I'm found the right field. I always wanted to be in design. One of the first reasons, one of the ways I knew I was in the right spot was because when I was young, I would take like Transworld skateboard magazines and draw the logos like on a piece of paper and like color them in. And it was just like, I'd have sheets of just like logo, like Termite, Seek, like Volcom, and I can draw
Wow.
them all still like by memory.
That's sick.
Toy Machine, all that stuff. So I knew that I was going to somehow end up in some sort of like design. Like I liked stuff like that, like skate graphics and stuff. Like a lot of the early Tech Deck graphics, all the Birdhouse graphics were like very burned into my memory. So I think that I'm in the right field. I know that. I think what it's provided me is actually like, it's a weird answer because this is something I don't know if people talk about often, but like now it's very common. But a while ago, no one, like we didn't give ourselves enough credit. We learned to video edit just to share clips. And to make videos is a skill that I brought into my job. My early jobs out of like college, I was like, I can do a video. I'll make it. I know Premiere. And it helped me like progress. And those skills from fingerboarding, it's not just a hobby where I like, it's just separate. It's like I brought all of that stuff in. So video editing, all that stuff, it's helped me. And I think now what's helped me is people skills for sure. I mentioned presenting. Like like, it's funny, like, I'm in a creative field, but now I've worked in it for like 10 plus years. So now I'm like actually like at the point where I'm like doing some management, also designing. Like, I always thought like as you progress in your career, you're supposed to like, you start by working like wrists down, which means like it's all like manual, like you're on the computer, you're designing all this stuff. And then as you progress, you work wrists up. So you're using your brain and you're like telling other people like, all right, this is what you should do. And I feel like I'm thankful that I still get to design stuff because it's keeping me like, I'm never done. Like, I'm not like a master designer, you know, like I'm not a master problem solver. It's always something new. But what it's really brought me, to answer your question, is the ability to kind of work with other people a lot more. When I was younger and even like college and stuff like that, group projects were always like a point of like conflict for me. I always clashed heads. I would be the person to be like, don't worry about it, I'll take it. And then I'd stay up late doing it, you know? And now I am able to work with other people and delegate things and be like, I love teaching and giving feedback. To me, that's a valuable skill. Presenting. Anyone, I'm gonna give a tip. Anyone who's afraid of presenting, if you did the work, you can present it, no problem. You know what you know what you're talking about. There is no reason to be afraid. If you're presenting someone that's, you know, something that someone hands to you 5 seconds before the call, you should be scared. But if you did the work and you're presenting it, or you wrote a script and you have to write say a speech, you wrote it. You know exactly what to do. You should not be scared. I feel like that's helped me a lot. I think it's given me it's given me a voice. It's given me ways to kind of work with other people without clashing so much. I still like working alone though, a lot. You know, who doesn't though? Because you're your own person. Like, but I think that's kind of what it's brought me.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And that's a good point. Like, if you're presenting something that you made, like, there's no one more qualified to do it than you, actually. If you think about it, it's like, you know, like you said, you can't give it to the next person and they know about it. It's like, you're the one who knows about it, so just talk about it.
Yeah. Would you want to sell your deck, or would you want someone else to sell your deck? They might not say it the way...
Yeah,
they're going to be concerned about what they're saying to make sure it lines up with what you think. And I feel like a lot of people are so... I was so afraid. Like I said earlier, I always thought that people on the call were like, what are you doing? Like, stop talking. And I realized, like, after every call, someone's always like, great job. And if someone gives you a compliment, you might as well take it.
Yeah,
I think
you have to. I think people should be more open to giving and receiving compliments. I think it's very common to be like, you know, oh, you could have done this better, but it's very rare to be like, you just did great.
Yeah.
You know, that was nice.
Yeah.
Like this podcast, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
For real. You really are. And it's like, you know, I know it's not easy to like talk about all these different things and keep going for a long time and stuff. So it's like, people need to really focus on like whatever's going well, whether it's in the moment or it's a project or anything, just like tell people around you when you notice that they're doing something good. That's
so true.
Like the exact opposite of like, you know, if you get bullied for something and then you're a little self-conscious going forward, it's like these types of moments almost cure that, when somebody's like, hey, you're doing so well. And it's like, oh, really? I thought I was not doing that well. I wasn't really sure. But because somebody told me that I'm doing well, I realized, oh, maybe I am. And now I can go forward with more confidence, keep doing it, and not feel afraid to do it.
100%. Positive affirmations I'm a big fan of. I need to do them more too. I think all of us might forget sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's super important.
Definitely.
I did want to talk about Kendama. So the other fingerboarding for me, and it's only been something that I discovered in a little bit during like the pandemic, which I think a lot of people did too, is Kendama. And I have to shout out a couple of people. Two people that I saw Kendama for the first time was Mallory Curtis and Alex Biotto. Both of those fingerboarders would post these crazy Kendama clips on their story. And I saw it for the first time and I was like, what is that stupid toy? And then I saw it a bunch of times and I was like, what is it? What is it? Like, I just didn't know what it was. It looks weird. It didn't look fun to me. somewhere along the line, I looked it up on YouTube. I was like, what the hell is a kendama? And why are all these people doing it, you know? And of course, when you look up any hobby or skill or anything like that on YouTube, you get the most viewed, best video, you know. If you look up like BMX right now, you'll get the sickest video because it's the most viewed.
Yeah.
So I was set up for success. I looked it up and I found like the most mind-perplexing kendama video. I was like, I gotta get one. So I went to Kendama USA because I just thought that sounded reputable, and I bought one for like $25. So I then hit up Alex Spiotto, and I forget his Instagram because he's changed it a couple times, but I think it's Soul Device right now. I asked him a bunch of questions. I'm like, what, you know, is my string length the right size? Is it like, did I get a good one? You know, all the simple questions that most people have, you can translate that to fingerboarding. Someone's probably like, I got this deck on Amazon, like, is it a good one? And I think a lot of people jump very far into like getting the best of the best right away, and you don't have to. That's just my view. I know a lot of people might be like, well, if I'm going to get into this, I should get the best of the best. I got a very basic starter one. This is a starter. This is a cheap one. It's from this company called Sweets. And this is from Kendama USA. And I started out and I sucked. And I was like, I have no idea how I can do this. It was no different than looking at, on a tech deck, how to do nollie heels. And I was like, this is impossible. My fingers don't even move like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I would mess around with it. I'd put it down and I'd come back to it because it's just like fingerboarding where I was like, I know I can do this. If that person can do it, I can do it too. Eventually, I started watching tutorials. I was starting to do stuff. And the minute you get your first trick, you're like, what else can I do? And again, it's no different than fingerboarding, where it's like you do your first kickflip and you're like, can I do heel flip? And then you're like, what about kickflip 180? And your mind starts to race. And so this, to me, is turned into like the other fingerboarding. It's not the next fingerboarding. This has been around for a while, and it's had booms in different parts of the world at different times. Of course, this is a Japanese toy, and it's actually taught in like grade school, and it's actually the only thing that they teach you is it's called Moshe Kame, and it's like literally just this back and forth, and it's to keep you kind of like focused and stay busy, and then it's also obviously it builds your hand-eye coordination. But what I've noticed, which is why fingerboarders enjoy it, and skateboarders too, is that this is no different than skateboarding. You can do all sorts of things. You can just try to do it like that, but then you can hold it upside down, and you have all different trick sets. You can do stalls. You can do tricks like this. And to me, it's literally kept I've been obsessed with it. Like, I've literally, like, I can't stop thinking about it. Kendama and like fingerboarding I never thought I'd find another fingerboarding.
Yeah.
And this is it. And it's no different than fingerboarding too, where it's like there's setups, you know? Like it's not just like a tech deck where you buy it, you rip it out of the package, and that's what you have. It's like you can get something, and just like a tech deck, you can get it, and you can start changing the wheels. You can rip the grip tape off. You can put you can put like foam tape on it. This is I paid like $70 for this specific Tama, and it's got a special coat of paint on it. It's a certain weight, and this is a different brand than this. And then you have different strings for different preferences. You have different lengths, so like I ride tight trucks, and you can also like, do them loose, or you can have like a very long string, or you can have a string that's like, closer with like, different finger lengths. So to me, this is something that I feel like if you haven't messed around with it and you like fingerboarding, there's a really good chance that you might also really like this. And I just need to like spread the word, because I feel like I want to scream it at like the rooftops, like you have to try this. Like I feel like it's a little bit of like a culty thing, but like it is all that people say it is, I think.
Yeah, I've seen some of the crazy stuff you do with it, and I'm just like, that's insane. I can't even imagine doing it. I'm sure I could if I tried for a long time, but it's like, it's impressive. There's definitely more than just like flipping it and catching it, you know, like that's what
Yeah.
everything looks like from a distance.
Yes.
I'm sure people who don't know fingerboarding just see us and they just see it as like,
Yeah.
and you know, but we're trying something serious, and it's got to be the same where it's just like, holy crap, how is he doing that? Like once you get a little bit of an eye for it, you're like, wait, I want to try that. That's not just throwing it, you know, it's like there's so many different things you can do with it.
There's intention in all this stuff. There's also the same level of discipline that I've learned from fingerboarding. I don't experience that now. If I set my mind to a trick, there's a good chance I'm going to get it within an hour, right? Kendama has taught me, like, it almost seemed impossible at first.
Yeah.
It's like you're telling me that I have to thread this spike into this hole at the end of a really complex trick where I'm balancing it here or here and flipping it and catching it, or like, you know, doing a flip or something. And to land something, like landing like a banger of like a fingerboard trick, it's that same rush of like dopamine where you're like, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'd like to say about Kendama is that, and I really have been wanting to say this somewhere, and maybe this is a good platform to say it, there's a lot of crossover in terms of community, and I'm not seeing, there's so many things happening in Kendama that I'm just not seeing in fingerboarding that could be there.
Like what? This is cool.
So these are actually highly competitive. Fingerboarding can be competitive. We've seen it, right? Pissing fingers, that was the first place I saw it, like fast fingers, that's what I really meant to say.
Yeah.
Even like the US Fingerboard League, like that's starting to get like competitive fingerboarding, but the way this is competitive, this is what I want to see in fingerboarding, and maybe this can actually happen, maybe next rendezvous or whatever. The way that you compete is like a game of skate, but instead of it being like freestyle, where if we played skate, you choose, I'll do a kickflip, and then I'll have to match that. In this, what they do is they have events. So a good example is like NACO, which is North American Kendama Open. That's hosted by Sweets. And what they do is there's 10 tricks predetermined in different brackets of complexity. So it's like beginner, intermediate, advanced, open, and then there's freestyle, which I'll talk about in a little bit, which is like really cool. So obviously beginner is like, I'm going to do it in like fingerboarding terms, right? Beginner would be like ollie, kick flip, heel flip, tray flip, stuff like that. So that would be pretty close to a normal game of skate. But the tricks are predetermined, and there's a judge, and they're fanned out, and you pick them from the judge.
That's cool.
So instead of it being free form, what it does is it challenges your. It also works differently. It challenges your consistency.
Yeah, totally.
So instead of doing like kickflip, we're done, you do it until you miss it.
Oh, you go back and forth. Each person, like, it could be 50 kickflips, and then whoever misses it gets the letter?
There's a time where it zeroes out.
Okay.
So I think it's like after like 5 or 6 times. Like if you keep going back to back doing kickflips, that card is actually off the table, and now that you'll never get kickflip again. What's left is the stuff that's in the hand. So if I did kickflip and you didn't get it, I'd get the card, and that's a point. So it's like horse evolved, right? Like,
yeah, dude, we actually do need this.
Yes.
Like, it sounds really fun.
I played last rendezvous with Ollie and Stali. I played line, which I've never played before. Have you ever played that?
Like a game of skate, but with lines?
Yeah, where every trick you do, it adds on. And you have to memorize.
Yeah, I've done that one.
That was really hard.
And it gets really crazy once you're like 10 tricks in.
Yeah. So this is skate, but with consistency. So if we were doing advanced or open, in Kendama, the advanced and open tricks are like some of the most hardest tricks to do. And what it does is it separates like the beginners from obviously the advanced people. And I've seen on YouTube some of the most competitive, like it's like literally like a street fight that you're watching. Like it's like a UFC match where it's like cutthroat. Like the most raw talent is like going back to back. And so, for example, like if we did it in fingerboarding, which I really feel like we should, it would be like, probably if we did advanced or open, it would be lines. So it would be like kickflip to tray flip to kickflip. And that would be one of the tricks where if you were to compete, you'd practice that so you have it in the bag.
Yeah.
And you go back and forth. So I would love to see that because it's just on a huge level. People travel, there's multiple events, and I know a lot of people do right now like best trick contests and like rail jams and stuff like that. Best line, it's a great start, but I do feel like there's, even past skate, I think this would take it to a little bit more higher stakes. I also would like to shout out someone I've never met, but there's a guy named Jake Weens who owns Grain Theory, and I actually saw that he fingerboards. So if you're watching this,
Sick.
I really love the fact that fingerboarding is crossing over. Like, I see his videos, and he's got arc ramps, and he's riding a dynamic deck, and I'm like, what? This is so crazy. Like, and there's a lot of people that actually fingerboard in the kendama world who aren't aware of like, or maybe they are. I might be getting ahead of myself, but it's still very separate. It's like, I'd love to see them combine. I actually know that Jake Weens went to one of the US FBL events.
Cool.
So I just think that this is something that can bring fingerboarding to a bit more of a more competitive area. And also, I think that edits and product drops and pro models and all this shit is handled, I guess because this is made on a grander scale, they can do bigger runs of pro models because it's not just like one person like there are companies like that, but like for example, this is like a Haley Bischoff pro model, and so it's got like it's got her graphics on it, it's got like special graphics, and they made like a bunch of these, and you can buy this, and it's like when you buy like a Tony Hawk deck. Yeah. And I just feel like we do see pro models and stuff, but I think that we could see more of that because it builds hype. You start to follow individual people,
right? And
there's a reason to buy their product and follow them as like an entity.
Yeah.
Totally. Who doesn't want a good entity to follow? But yeah, that's my spiel on Kendama. I really highly suggest. I would love to. I actually reached out to Sweets one time to see if they could give me some Kendamas to give out at the rendezvous, but I think I reached out too close between like shipping dates. So I might try it again, and I'd love to see like we should give some away in like the raffle or something.
Yeah, we could do a contest for it or something. Dude, you know what'd be cool is that game of skate with the cards where you pick the tricks and then you win a kendama.
That'd be awesome.
Because then there's more they cross over the inspiration for it.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna try to reach out to them.
I'm down if you can get them. You should do it. Yeah, that's a really cool thing. Like I just learned a lot for sure.
And freestyle. That's the last thing. Freestyle is basically best run. You get 45 seconds.
Just do whatever you can.
To do whatever you can, and spiking it is what kind of counts. But
so is that like the end? That's like landing and riding away, basically.
Yeah.
So you can throw it in the air, do all kinds of crazy stuff, and then it's like if you miss it at the end, it's like you bailed at the end of the handrail.
Yes. No one cares if you locked into the grind.
Right.
It's like did you ride away from it? So it's called lacing in kendama, but I call it landing because I'm not going to learn another term.
Even though you know it, you just said it. But yeah, no, that's so good.
Oh, and shout out to Phil Zalewski. Remember Phil Z?
Yeah.
He is big into kendama, and he also helped me get set up. And he gave me like a tutorial on like certain tricks and stuff. So
cool.
It's a great community.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing. Let me see this thing. Oh yeah.
There are people that make them by hand on a lathe, but these mass-produced ones are made on a CNC lathe.
Cool. Yeah, it's really nice quality for sure. I have one somewhere, but I don't know where it is. It might actually be at my old house or something. I gotta look for it.
Yeah, I remember I brought it here actually one rendezvous, and I showed it to Scott B. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I like mess around with this," and he like was doing tricks, and I was like, "What?" Like, I think like you can get a chrome, whatever.
That sounds familiar.
KROM.
Black River does something with them.
Yeah, they did the funeral French collab with like the design. It was like neon colors, and then the video of the guy. He was like rolling the kendama on the like the playground, and like catching it and shit. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool. So there's a little bit of crossover, a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Hopefully this ignites something. I've been too shy I've brought a kendama every rendezvous, right? I'm too shy because I feel like people are still going to the rendezvous to just fingerboard.
Right.
I've gone to a kendama event, and halfway through the event, everyone started busting out fingerboards. Everyone started busting out the strings with the weights where they like whip it back and forth on their fingers. It was like the skill toy convention. Someone had a Rubik's Cube and they were just sitting there. So I would love to see a little bit more of like shared interests at the rendezvous. It's an amazing gathering of people. Like we can't all be the same, right? We can't just like fingerboarding.
Right. There's probably, let's say if there's 400 people, there could be like 10 or 50 that are into kendama. You never know until you take it out, I guess. I've tried,
but I'm too shy. Maybe next time I'll...
Well, now that you've already talked about it, I think now's the perfect time to do it.
Bring it next time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be at the one in June, so but bring it to the one in November.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. Dude, that's awesome. It's like, it's super exciting to just have like a new thing that goes that much in depth, has its own community, has its own like progression and challenges and all that. Like, I see what you mean by like it's your like second fingerboarding almost.
Yeah. I assume this is what people feel like when they're interested in like esports or sports.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I don't know what sports are either. Like how...
Why did I go to esports
if you like
first?
It, you like it.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, with sports, you watch the game, you know the stats, you know the players. It's no different. Fingerboarding, the same thing.
Yeah,
once you get into it, you know the players. You know who's posting clips. You know their style. You know what you like, what you don't like. There's products. There's swag. Like, I love what Slush Cult is doing. It's like a legitimized like brand where it's like I know what's Slush Cult when I see it. You know.
Yeah,
like,
they have their own style.
Same thing with Flatface too. Like, there's a style, and I feel like if I see it out of the corner of my eye, I know what that is. Like, I think brand is so important.
Cool. That's awesome because I don't even know what my style is, but I know that it comes out consistently in what I do. But it's like...
It's colorful.
It's not that it's not intentional, but it's not intentional. It's just like I just do what I do and it comes out how it does. And it's like always on a theme maybe, but I don't know what that theme is. I couldn't write down the instructions for how to do it.
I think it's just, to me, when I close my eyes and I think of Flatface, it's just color. It's like, it's not black and white, right? It's like colors I would never use in like my designs, but like when I close my eyes, it's like purple, yellow, like greens, and like nothing's like geometric. It's all like, you know, a little wavy and stuff. Like, I think that's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's like a crystal you can skateboard.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a cool perspective because it's like, yeah, I never really heard that before. It's awesome.
I feel like that's because it's authentic. You don't know what it is because you're just making, that's what you want to make.
I didn't plan it, so to speak. It just, yeah, I mean, I've always exactly made what I want to make. It's like, if I think something can be done better or done a certain way, it's just like, I got to do it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I tell people that too. It's like, if you want to make a product or a company or whatever it is, make it how you want it. Don't worry about what you think other people might want or not, because you'll always get a million different answers. And, you know, do what you think needs to be in this world and make it.
I think that's sage advice, honestly. I think a lot of people, especially with fingerboarding, I see a lot of trends. And everyone's like hopping on a trend. And that's kind of how things go. I'm not saying that's not the way things should go.
Yeah.
But I do like I love when something kind of stands out. It might not be for me, but I love the fact that someone thought differently.
Yeah, totally.
A good example is like that Doom Lagoon, that guy.
He's making some cool stuff.
Yeah, he's making these like resin bottom plies and making his own veneer and stuff. Like, I think that's sick. It's cool.
Yeah. So I heard you bought a house recently. It's a major life achievement.
Thank you.
Tell us about it.
It's not going to be an original story. It'll probably line up with a lot of things that people are doing right now. But honestly, my girlfriend and I were living in the city during COVID, and things were getting like very sketchy. Our mail was getting stolen every day. And it's not like it was just like junk mail getting stolen. It was like packages, things like we paid for. And during COVID, you needed every package you could possibly, like, you needed those things to arrive.
Yeah.
So coincidentally, no one ever stole our Blue Apron boxes. because everyone's, they're probably like, I gotta cook this. So they stole like stuff for my girlfriend's work. They stole things like that was like records that we bought, and during COVID, like every package counted. Like it was like you had so little, and to get stuff in the mail was like Christmas Day over and over again. So long story short, we basically just like fled because it was like more and more, we couldn't rely on where we lived, and it was getting like unsafe. We didn't know who was in our building and all that stuff. So we moved back home, which is like upstate New York, and we wanted to be next to family, much like many other people did. But also just going back home felt really nice. Like we had a car instead of in the city where you walked everywhere. Like we'd go to like the grocery store, and this works for people. I'm not bashing it, but like going to the grocery store in the city without a car, you have to like decide like, is today I'm gonna buy the gallon of juice, or like do I not have like the place for it? So it's so nice to now go to like a grocery store and just get a bunch of stuff and put it in your car and just drive off and be like, yeah, I don't know how much I got, but I needed it. So we were renting a house, and after a year and a half, we decided we were tired of giving landlords our money, because renting a house versus an apartment, it's more expensive, and it just felt like I was flushing my money away. And we weren't even being taken care of, really. There was one time we had an ice storm, and our like heat legitimately shut off, and our house went down to like 49 degrees. And we were afraid our cats were gonna die. Like we were afraid, like it was unsafe for us. Like it was frigid.
Yeah.
When we told them that, they were like, oh, we're busy right now working on like a house somewhere else, so we'll be there at the earliest tomorrow night. And I still I get that, like, if something's going on and you're somewhere else, but as a landlord and there's an emergency like that, you need to do what you need to do. And you need to take care of your people who are giving you money every month to live in the building that you're taking care of. I don't know what it's like to be a landlord. I can't claim if it's an easy job. I don't think it is. But I do think that if you are going to be a landlord, you know what your responsibilities are.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, he should have called someone else to handle it if he couldn't do it. And it's that easy. It's one phone call.
Yeah.
It's probably going to cost you about the same money anyways, depending, doesn't matter who does it. But yeah, it's not an easy job, like you said, but there's also always a solution. You have to keep people's, like, well-being in mind.
Totally. I didn't feel cared about. I get that it's not their responsibility to care for us, but I didn't feel cared for in times of like an emergency. So
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared to buy a house. I never thought I was ever going to at this point. I'm 31. I didn't know what their actual age was that you could buy a house. Clearly, you bought a house, and I was always like, wow, that's crazy. Like, Mike bought a house? I never really I obviously never thought about a lot of things. Maybe that's my biggest regret too, is I never really planned my life out. I never thought about big life decisions. And so my girlfriend was like, we should buy a house. Like, you should buy it. Like, we have the savings, and you are prepared to buy a house. And I weighed, honestly, the reason why we got it was because I wanted to, if I'm going to flush my money away, I'll flush it to myself.
Yeah.
And I fumbled my way through the closing. I couldn't give anyone any advice. I don't know what happened. I blacked out the whole time. But we found a house that was really right for us. And when you know.
Oh yeah, it's a feeling.
It is.
Definitely. You walk in and you just know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really glad we did that. I honestly would have never done that if my girlfriend didn't kind of push for it. She definitely knew what was needed, and it's been a really good decision. Like, now I'm like fully adulting, like I just bought a lawnmower. And I'm like, where am I going to put a Flatface sticker on my lawnmower? No, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
It is a good investment. I know, and I've seen in like one of your stories too, like you've mentioned like how good of an investment it is to own a property, own land or whatever, like a house.
Yeah.
Especially now, the house market is up and down, a lot up. Like it's like really hard to get a house right now, but it's a really good investment.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, like you said, basically, if you're renting a house or an apartment, you're flushing your money down the drain, essentially. And, like, the way I look at it is, like, yeah, you had it when you had it, but now you know, like, once it's over, all that money is gone and you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Like, you only have the past versus if you have a house, you know, you need to pay a little up front, but then your mortgage payment is the same as your rent before, or maybe lower, maybe higher, but it's, like, in the range.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can find a house that you can afford, even if it sounds like a high price. Like, mortgages are not more expensive than rent.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then it's like every mortgage payment you make every month, instead of a rent payment, that money goes into something that you're owning more and more and more of.
Yeah.
And anytime you want to sell that house, you don't have to pay it off. You can sell it tomorrow and get a different house, get all that money back that you've been putting into it. So you're paying yourself in a way. Like, yeah, you're paying the bank and you're paying for the house, but you keep the money, essentially. It's kept in the item, the home that you have, and it sets you up for life, really, because
Totally.
it's like you're not wasting that money. You're out of the trap of renting, essentially. And then
I wish I knew that earlier.
that's
really
why
did.
I really wanted to talk about this, because think of how many people listening can learn this. Like, they don't teach this in school for whatever reason, but, you know, if everybody at least had the idea in their head, you don't have to buy a house, but you have the idea, you know the benefits of it, you can think about it. Maybe 5 years down the line, you revisit the idea and like, okay, maybe I'm ready now to own a house.
Yeah, and it is not an easy thing, especially now. So I understand that, like, it's not easy to just be like, I'm going to buy a house right now. It's like I had saved a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And I knew I saved it because I knew what I was going to run into something in the future. I'm not one to give financial advice, but I don't spend a lot of money. I've never been that way. I've always been like, I need my oh shit pile where I'm like, if anything happens, I'm prepared. And I think that is what helped me make this massive decision. So and we also did, like you said, we made sure that our rent, our mortgage was the same price as what we were paying in the city. So nothing really changed. It's just that guilt of giving it away to someone who didn't even care or didn't do anything to, like, make sure that we were okay because we're giving them money. Now, like you're saying, like, everything that you do to improve your house just makes it better for you in the long run too.
Yeah.
Major things,
Totally.
not like painting the walls, but like,
I mean, even painting the walls a little bit, because if you make it nicer, you can sell it for a little bit more money.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
true.
everything adds up. So it's really, like, you know, if you're renting a house and you are even allowed to paint the walls and you paint the walls, it only benefits your eyes. Like, you get a nice color, but it's like
I love it. I love when things benefit my eyes.
me
Yeah.
too. We all
Yeah.
do. But you know, when it's your house, it benefits your eyes, and then it also benefits the value of the home. So if one day you decide to sell it, it's like, wow, every room is so nicely painted. I have a good feeling in this home. I want to buy it.
That's so true.
You know?
Actually the house that we bought was not staged. It was we walked in and, like, it was lived in.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting situation. We had to really look past a lot of the stuff that was in there.
But you're creative, so you can see the potential in a space.
I'm going to give my
can't.
girlfriend credit on that one. I was like unable to see certain things, and like I think naturally I feel like she was just able to, like, see past. We watched a lot of House Hunters too.
I love that show.
Yeah, I love the stock music they choose.
Oh, I gotta pay more attention to the music. That's fun.
It's hilarious. The editing, I love those type of shows. Just I love the editing.
Yeah.
I love, like, like Love Is Blind. Like, I've been
Dude, we watched all of that. So good.
I'm on season 4, like the current season, and oh my god, the editing.
Yeah.
I
Dude.
would love to just sit behind the editor's shoulder and just watch how they choose certain
It's so
things.
funny.
It's great. Yeah.
Dude, that's great. I'm so glad you watched that. Like, that's hilarious.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, we started watching a lot of that stuff, like, during the pandemic, and yeah, we watched, like, Love Is Blind, Married at First Sight, and then what was, like, the Japan one?
It was Love Is Blind Japan.
Yeah, that.
I mean,
really
once
cool.
season 4 is over, I'm gonna be like, I need more.
Yeah, because when you see the cultural differences, how they behave, it's night and day, and it's so interesting. It's almost like traveling, where it broadens your perspective, but you get to do it from your couch. So.
I will definitely watch that.
Yeah, super cool. And you really get a lot into people's like psychology. Like after watching a lot of these shows, like you get to see kind of like you see a person in the beginning, you're like, they're gonna do this, and then it's like near the
Yeah.
end and they did it, and you're like, no way, they really did it. Like I'm not crazy.
Oh my god, the amount of
So
times
fun.
where I was like, I can't believe that just happened, or like they really did a good job at like. It doesn't feel staged. Some scenes felt staged.
I think there's times when the director has to say like, hey, can you repeat that, or can you do that again? And then
Or
it's
you
like, oh,
you two talk.
yeah, yeah,
Because it's like there's no way that these two people are talking the most like
right, the ones that are butting heads or something, and
And
they
then-
just meet up for coffee.
yeah, and they're like their fiancés or whatever are like a yard away
Yeah.
from them, and like they're not hearing their conversations. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I mean, you always have to be aware when you're watching TV, even if it's a reality show or like something like totally supposed to be not staged. You always have to know that it might be fake. It might be entirely fake and scripted, or it might be partially real. And if you keep that in your mind, you learn so much more from it, because you're not just like, oh, that's how it is. You're like, that might be how it might be. And then you can think of like things as possibilities and just like, cool story. Wow, I wonder like why they behaved that way. And then sometimes like, oh, someone told them to, or sometimes like, yeah, you can see how that's really their character.
I think that's because you have edited things before. Do you know how many people watch a movie and they're like, they know that's actors, but they're like, oh my god, like he's gonna go do that, and like, don't
Yeah,
do that,
yeah.
don't do that. Oh, I can't believe he did that, and it's like, and I want to be like, that like
That's not
first
real.
it was written, and then they cast someone, they rehearsed it. One thing I suggest people do is pause a movie after you're watching a scene, rewind it, and watch the scene again immediately right afterwards, because you'll see an actor reciting lines. Watching a movie first time through, everything's fresh.
Yep.
If you watch it immediately a second time through, you
Whoa.
can start to see an actor doing what they're doing. And yeah, I don't know. I love just like I love behind the scenes stuff and like all that stuff. So I
That's
watch all
so
those
cool.
shows like aware that this is a show made to make drama, and
Right.
they are crafting that.
Yeah,
If everything went smoothly, it would be a boring show.
very true. Yeah, they got to spice it up when they can, kind of edge on those situations and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally. So now we know what your TV's playing. What about your music? What music do you play in your new house?
So, I think like we used to collect records, and like I used to be really like interested in records and like playing them and collecting them. I thought it was really cool that like that's like the age group that we all grew up in. Like there were no records of like the CDs that we had growing up. So to now have all these things pressed for the first time, it was like addicting. And I was like reliving a lot of my like childhood and stuff, which is, I love like skate punk from like 2003 and on, like all that stuff, like No Effects and like Lagwagon and NXPX and all that stuff. And like, to me, that was really great. And I was collecting it, and I never played any of my records. Now they're just literally just like collectibles. So lately, I've honestly been like, I find that as I get older, I revisit times in my life, and I keep going back and being like, was this a part of me? Was this a part of me? So skate punk is like always going to be a part of me. Tony Hawk soundtracks, all that stuff. I've actually been lately revisiting a lot of like deathcore from like MySpace era. So
Cool.
like Whitechapel, Chelsea Grin, like As Blood Runs Black, like a bunch of stuff that a lot of fingerboarders had shown me. Like Brett Gagliardo showed me like half the music I like. That's kind of what I'm into. I'm been going to less and less shows lately, just because it's harder because I'm not in the city anymore. But I'm actually going to see Block Party play in the city, which I'm super stoked for, because
Nice.
I've never seen them do a headlining show, and they're doing a one-off headliner show during their tour where they're opening for Paramore. So
Oh,
I couldn't
sick.
be happier. So
That's awesome.
yeah, and music's always going to be one of my other passions. I can't go a day without listening to something. Like and I also love like music, especially in like fingerboarding, just to like bring it there,
Yeah.
is like it's a representation of you. I always felt
Totally.
like we were talking about the Flatface DVD earlier, like the music that people chose was for a reason,
Right.
right? Yeah, like
Yeah,
like
totally. It's like their character showing a little bit.
Yeah,
Or their
like-
interest.
I think that's awesome. And I think like that's what I discovered watching skate videos.
Yep.
Like we were just talking about the DC video and like some of the songs, like Metallica, like that's actually one of the first places I heard Metallica. Yeah, right. The whole catalog in that film is great. Like Lakai's Fully Flared, that soundtrack's great. Like music has just always been there. So, and I love that everyone's got something different that they're interested in.
Yeah.
Like your music
definitely.
taste is like, I don't know any of the songs or the artists. I don't know how you find the songs or the artists that you use, but it's always interesting because I don't think anyone's really using any songs like that.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't think they can find the artist.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, music is amazing, and just the way that music makes you feel. And, like, every type of music gives you different feelings and stuff, but it's like,
Yeah,
whether it's energizing or calming or euphoric or whatever, it's just like, I don't know. You gotta listen to music. You can't put into words what music even does.
yeah,
But you kind of can, but not really. But, like, if you ever are editing a video and you have your song in there, and then you just take it out and you put a completely different song and you watch it again,
Yeah.
it's a totally different video, completely.
Yeah.
The entire vibe is different, even though it's the same things you're seeing. So it's like,
that's so true.
it's huge.
And that actually can make or break like the way I watch a video.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was always drawn more to like the faster paced songs used in like skate videos. Flying Fingers. Matt Johnson used like metal. And I remember being like, what is this? This is crazy music. And I realized I was just drawn to it. So
Yeah.
I love more than posting the fingerboarding clip itself, is just finding the song to add with the Instagram clip. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I love seeing what people choose too. And like in Kendama, when I post my clips there, no one uses the music that I use. And I
Cool.
love the fact that it's like wearing a graphic t-shirt.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to say nice shirt until one person walks by you and they're like sick shirt. And you know that's the person that you would probably get along with.
Yeah.
I like that.
So true.
At the Rendezvous, I love Rendezvous drip. I want to like capture Rendezvous drip because the amount of people where I'm like, that's a sick shirt, or like, I've never seen someone dress like that, but that is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I love just seeing all that stuff, and music's no different.
I'm inspired. I'm going to start looking at people's shirts now and like actually processing it, you know, like thinking about it a little. Just like, that's cool. I really tune out clothing for whatever reason. I've always just not noticed. It's like rare that I'll notice something someone's wearing.
I don't think that's like weird, to be honest. I feel like it's like I was always drawn to graphic t-shirts, or like when I was like skateboarding as a kid, I'd always be like, what deck graphic does that person have?
Yeah.
Did you ever think about that, or like?
Yeah, when I was starting, for sure, it was like, what skateboard do you have? And then like,
Yeah.
it's like their character. It's like
Yeah.
what they chose, what brand they chose, and what style of graphic within that brand even. And it's just like,
That was so important
it's part
to
of
me.
the vibe. It's almost like the music, you
Yeah.
know? It's like, yeah, it's a huge part of it.
I just bought a skateboard like a couple years ago, and I was looking through the site and I was like, what are these brands? And I'm like, I don't identify with any of these brands. I don't know half of them anymore. Half of the brands I identified with are gone. So I ended up buying a darkroom deck because that's the artist from Alien Workshop. He went off and did that, and I was like, I can get behind this. The reason why I don't buy every tech deck now is because I don't understand half the graphics. Like, I don't get it. I don't. But that just might be me. I'm getting older.
Yeah, no, I find myself the same way. It's like, I know what I knew from before, and then new stuff is like,
Yeah.
it's only going to catch on if there's a reason for it to. Like, otherwise, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I think that's just getting older, to be honest. It's just losing
Yeah.
touch. Because if you were actually like following drops in graphics and boards and stuff. You probably know what stuff
I don't know
is, but-
how. I never knew how people knew what anything was in skateboarding, including when I started. I knew 2 videos that I had on DVD, and that was it. Like, I was just like, how do you know who skateboarders are, what they look like, what they're doing, where to find anything? I was like so out of touch, but not on purpose. Like,
Yeah.
I just didn't understand where people were getting this knowledge from. But I guess it's like, I was probably nerding out on fingerboarding instead. Like,
Yeah.
And they're probably reading like skate magazines. And I like rarely read them. You know, I'd read them if like I was at someone's house and they had one there. But it's like,
I would buy one-offs from Barnes and Noble. I never had a subscription until 2 months ago.
wow,
I got a Thrasher subscription.
that sounds exciting. Is it
It
fun?
is. It's great.
It
and I'm
comes
actually,
in the mail to you and everything.
Yeah, and I'm old enough to read the articles. I didn't care back in the day.
Right.
I would cut them up and I would make like collages and stuff. I would also just ogle at Jay's collection where he'd make the stair set. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, that's why people get the subscription. Or you get the posters or something. Like, I also would say that CCS catalogs, that taught me about graphics. I would flip through those stupid small CCS catalogs and be like, oh my God, Flip is really cool. Or like World Industries is like really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's like come close to like Blind or like World Industries graphics. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah. I bet if we were that age now, then whatever's coming out now would be that to us. Like, oh, this is so cool. Like whatever
What
the new
is
thing.
that?
I don't know.
Finesse? I don't know. Like the
I
ones
don't
with
know.
Sonic on them. I feel like that's like, I feel like it's all licensed stuff. I don't know. Primitive, which is all licensed. Like, I think the only stuff that's cool is the brands that have held on.
That's what I like too. I like the old stuff that's
Zero.
still going. Yeah. But that's
Mystery.
because it's classic to us. It has like its roots in our childhood, so we're biased towards enjoying it.
Yeah, that's true. I'll admit to that.
All right, time for the user submitted questions.
I'm so excited and curious what people ask me.
All right, we can start off simple with favorite trick.
Nollie flip. Just
Nollie
because it's
flip.
easy.
Because it's easy. Dude, nollie flip's not easy when you're getting started, though. Once you learn them, they're so easy.
Yes.
But until you get to that point,
It used to be tray flip, but my decks don't do tray flips well. Or it's me, but like to me, nollie flips are just like you don't have to do anything, and it's easy to get them into grinds too. Like
yeah, you have a very subtle motion to do it, which is really nice.
I also have my fingers are always like splayed, like spread out. I've never like done like the close together stuff,
Yeah.
so they're just always been very fun to me.
Awesome.
I never thought that would be my answer, to be honest. I didn't think about it until now. What's your favorite trick?
Tray flip or kick flip? Probably. Yeah. I don't know. I really like a good tray flip, like when it gets real, like, I don't know. That,
Like a
not like that,
slower.
But like, yeah, just when it wraps
rounding.
around your front finger the right way, like before it like releases, just like
Yeah.
the best feeling.
Yeah, it
I
is.
love tray flips.
It's also a good one to show someone who doesn't know anything about fingerboarding.
Yeah.
Like that's a very
I like impossibles for that because they're just like, it wrapped around
Yeah.
your finger. What? Like first do like a kickflip or something and then like an impossible. They're like, what?
yeah.
But yeah, tray flip's very similar to that too. Let's see. Can you ask Tim why he is so nice?
I don't know. That's super nice. That is a very nice thing to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just figuring out life at the same time as you are.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you be nice, right? Like, I think we're all pretty friendly. How long have you been fingerboarding for? Well, we covered that.
2006, 7.
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously fingerboarding. Yeah.
How's the inspiration for your crazy combos?
I always like to think, what have I not done?
Yeah.
Because I don't film all the stuff I've done. If I'm going to make I haven't made an edit in a long time, but if I'm going to make an edit, I am not going to just do the same tricks on the same ledge that I
Right.
did in the previous edit. So with Instagram, the way it's changed like the landscape of like fingerboarding and stuff, to me, now I'm like I just pulled out the Tech Deck 8 stair and I was like, this feels amazing. And it's like, this has always been a challenging obstacle to do anything on. So I was like, what can I do on it that I've never seen before? And it's not like a race, but I'm just like, I want to do something that's going to make someone want to watch my video. I see a lot of stuff and I watch like half of it. I'm like, I got the idea. It's a sesh. But I don't want to see seshes.
Yeah.
That's just me. So I like to just do stuff I haven't seen or I haven't done before.
That's the best. How he started playing guitar and how that helps with fingerboarding.
That's an awesome question.
Yeah.
This is really sweet questions. I played guitar when I was in middle school. I got a classical guitar. I think you have one of those right somewhere over there. The one with like the plastic strings. And I took lessons, and my teacher, obviously, any normal person would do, they'd see what guitar you bring, and then they teach you that. So I brought a classical guitar. I started learning like classical guitar with like my fingers. And I remember being like, I'll put up with this. I'll do it a little bit. I wasn't interested at all. And so I wanted him to teach me like Korn. Obviously, classical guitar and Korn like don't match. So I ended up just not being interested. And I really wanted to play what I wanted to play, which was like Green Day and stuff. So I started going on ultimateguitar.com, learned how to read tabs and chords, and I just started learning from there. And I still do that now, except I learn by ear, because it's more fun, it's more of a challenge. So I'm still playing guitar almost every single day. I love playing bass as well. And I find it's the same. I think it's the same answer for like kendama, guitar, and fingerboarding. It's all dexterity. It's all eye coordination. But for guitar, I get my ear. It trains my ear, and it trains how close you pay attention to something. So with fingerboarding, if you keep doing the trick the same exact way, you're never gonna get it. You have to try it different each time, and you'll eventually find what works for you. And same thing with guitar. So it's helped me that way. Same thing with like kendama. It's like the same thing of like try, and then you'll get it. And then all of a sudden, like I remember I used to like rage quit skateboarding, trying to learn the kickflip. And then one day I got it, and from then on, I just like could just get it.
Yeah.
Like it's weird how that works. So yeah, I love guitar. Play what you want to play. That's what I would suggest. If lessons aren't working, like somehow teach yourself, like Green Day.
Yeah.
It all starts there.
You want to play us a little Green Day? 30 seconds?
Yeah, Green Day would be, whoop. What the hell?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I went through like a mini phase for like 3 days, like listening to Green Day, because like that was like middle school.
Yeah.
I haven't really heard them much. They came on the radio when we were driving, and like I put it kind of loud, and it was like so crazy. Like I heard his voice for the first time, like the real details of it or whatever, and it just like I was like, wow, we got to listen to all the Green Day that I used to listen to. And like just for like a few days, I was just like super into it. It's so nostalgic, dude.
Yeah. Revisiting nostalgia is,
Yeah.
I know it's painful for some people. Maybe that's something that I don't understand, because I don't know it, to each his own. I understand we all have different things. But for me, revisiting things that I used to love that I haven't revisited in a long time is therapeutic. I love
Me too.
nostalgia.
I really love it.
Yeah.
And I think there's been certain times where it was difficult for me to go back to like very specific like songs, because they would remind me of like a bad or difficult time I was going through.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, it wasn't difficult at all. So it's like once you've processed those difficult times, if you've had them, of course, sounds like maybe you didn't, or not in this specific way, but if you have,
I don't
for
think
anyone,
I've revisited those things that,
not yet.
Yeah.
If you revisit something that's difficult for you, like try to heal those parts of your memory or your experiences. Like once you can look at them in a more positive way and see how you've grown from them in a good way and leave behind all the negative, then you can go back and listen to it and like it's good again.
Yeah.
And it's like, no way, like that song doesn't have to make me sad anymore. I really love it again.
That's true. That's
it's
very
happened
true.
to me, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I like that. Like, you're almost like separating the memory from the thing
Yeah.
and going back to the thing. It's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, most of whenever I go back to something from before, like when I was younger, it's always so good.
Yeah.
It's like awesome, super nostalgic feelings. Definitely, especially music in general, any music.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a lot of the music I still like now. I've not moved on from because it just makes me feel good.
I think everyone does that. Look at the radio. They got the same songs from the 70s still playing.
I know.
Why? Because people want to hear it still.
Yep.
Because everyone listening to that either heard it when they were growing up or heard it like when they were growing up. Also, like I'm thinking 2 generations, like the actual generation when it came out, and then like our generations hearing our parents playing it, and then to us it's now nostalgic too.
Yeah.
And it's like those songs from the 70s are going to be playing in like 2070 because it just keeps getting pushed on. Like,
what's our music going to be called 20 years from now? It's not going to be, it's going to be like also classic rock. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know what the music now is ridiculous. But like that's somebody's future nostalgia.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Favorite Black River park?
Oh, that's easy. It's the one with all the humps.
Yeah, the G8 park.
Yeah, that one. Every rendezvous, I'm like, find myself hitting the humps like first, and it's got that. If I'm right, it's got that same one with the planter with the stair set and the flat thing. There's like a So, I love that gap because you could do like a trick on the granite planter and then gap across the stairs and like hit that ledge. Like it's sick. That's an easy one.
Awesome. You know what's cool is I noticed that the G16 park is the same layout as that park. They changed each obstacle, but it's the same thing. The same flow, the same, like, you got this spot here and that spot there. Like, when we go look at it, you'll be like, no way.
Yeah.
It totally is.
I love the, I love the long rail with the pallet, with the kicker.
Yep.
It's a really good park.
Is fingerboarding nostalgic for you?
Yes. Yes, actively. At the same time, it's like, I like doing it because it's nostalgic, and it's also part of, like, it's part of my life at this point.
Yeah. Rhombus is interested. Pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. It's really good. I'm kind of, like, freaky with certain things like that. Like, I like it.
Yeah. It's awesome. What was the inspiration for the Hurley clothing line?
I was just, it's funny. I was just talking to my girlfriend about this, and I was like, do people really know why they wear Hurley in 2023? Like, I just bought a couple Hurley things from, like, Marshall's, and, like, it's a brand that I get Fox Racing, I get Billabong, I get Quicksilver, because it's all the same, right? Those are all, like, the things you would get at, like Bob's stores or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And, like, I get it. I get that it was like, Fox Racing was, like, BMX, and, like, Quicksilver was like snowboarding and surfing and stuff, and, like, I don't know. You get all that stuff. I never knew what Hurley was, but I wore it because obviously I could, but I never understood. Like, I love seeing how people who still, like, there are some people who, like, have worn a Hurley hat, like, their whole life. And it's like, I love it. I don't know. To each his own. Keep wearing it. It's sweet. But, like, I don't know what it is.
That's amazing. Is it a curse being a left-handed fingerboarder?
No, it's not. Because I get to use the parks in ways that other people don't.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
There's Doctor's Park, really good example. I get to hit the non-stair set side in the best way, like, other
any
people
trick
can't.
you do has never been done, basically.
Yeah. It was cool. Last rendezvous, when I met Ollie and Sally, I was like, no way, we're all left-handed. So we got to play, like, a left-handed game of skate on a park, which I never get to do. So it's not a curse at all. It's like, it's a gift.
That's super fun. Wow, we're on this. Your opinion on the new wave of fingerboarding, knowing he's an OG.
I have my thoughts. I have something, but this, again, this is like opinion, right? Like, I am not bashing anyone who's currently doing this. I just feel like the current state of fingerboarding is very trend-based, and I guess I wouldn't know any better if I didn't fingerboard and I just got into it now.
Right.
Seeing what the landscape is, I wouldn't know any better. To me, you don't need concrete everything. You don't need these weird concrete obstacles that are made from like a corner of like a box that like a weird like mold that they found in like, a product and then like made a concrete obstacle out of it. I think it's a little strange because it's not like, again, I view fingerboarding as like an extension of skateboarding. So to me, it's like, and this is all my opinion, if your fingerboard doesn't look like a skateboard, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't really work for me. Like, I like white wheels. Colored wheels are a little hard for me to like, I can't track them with my eye.
You're sounding so old right now. I'm like, dude, I love when people mold the corner of something, make a weird obstacle. No, it's really cool. Like, everybody has their own different like things they like and they don't like.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Skateboarding's always been that way.
Yep.
Use whatever you want. I just personally, I don't like lines in my grip tape. I don't like combinations of skate grip and foam grip. That's blasphemous in my opinion. It's weird. Truck width should always be the width of the deck.
I agree on that one.
So I don't know. Yeah. I think it's interesting. Keyframing is interesting. It can be done. You know who does it really well? Renzi Man.
Yeah.
He's the only person that can.
Yeah,
keyframe
very rarely do I want to see keyframing. I really don't like it. I'm like, either film it static or have someone film you or film yourself. But like that robotic jumpiness is like.
It's strange. It's strange. I think also I think obstacles to me are really like, I think for a while my really one big complaint was like doing tech tricks on a parking block. It's like, no, that's like doing like a grind trick on like one DVD that you put on your, like, it's like, to me, my brain doesn't make sense of it. It's like, you wouldn't do that like, you would never do like Nollie Tray 5-0, Tray Flip Out on like a parking block. Unless your day one song or something.
Yeah, now that you spoke it into existence, people are going to start doing it. That would be awesome.
They've already done it. Yeah.
On a skateboard, I mean.
To each his own. I do things my way and keep doing things your way.
Yeah, totally.
People who do those things that I don't like have more followers than I do, so we're good.
Yeah. No, it's ultimately about doing what not you, but like each person wants to do. So,
yeah.
Is there a specific sport Tim is into?
Kendama.
Yeah. What exercise does Tim do for his arm gains?
I just started going to the gym last week for the first time in my whole life. I've only been twice, and I'm too afraid to go to the arm stuff, so I've just done the treadmill and the bicycle. I can't tell you. I don't have arm gains, honestly. I lug the water bottles into my house to put in like the water system. That's it.
Perfect. That's all you need. When's your next full part coming out?
That's an interesting question. I want to do another one, but I have thoughts about like, I want to do one where it's like not in a messy room. I want to like kind of bring it to some place where I want to film and like make it a bit more intentional. I did like a vert part and that was really fun, and I just like laid on my floor and like fingerboarded on like tech deck ramps and like the mini dose or whatever, or the dose. I don't know yet. I don't know. I'd love to do something though.
Yeah, we were going to film one today, but this podcast took up the whole day.
Yeah, I do hope we can get a couple of tricks in, but...
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Come back, we'll film a part on the park if you want.
That would be awesome. That would be sweet. A couple more?
One more only.
Sweet.
Hardest combo you landed on film?
I don't know. You know that question that people would be like, what's your hardest trick? And you're like, I don't know because
I've done it.
They're all hard, and then I land it, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. The one thing that came to mind, but it wasn't hard. I kind of did it quicker than I thought. In many moons ago, I did a part for Homewood, and I did like on the box 3, I did a tray flip. Sorry, nollie tray manual, bigger flip out. But that's one of those things where it's like once you lock in, doing the bigger flips like not too hard. I think that was kind of tricky, but I did something with Primo once. That's a hard question.
Yeah, I think that might have been a joke question because it was from Chris P. Not sure if he was serious or not, but yeah.
I don't know. Here's the last thing I'll say. I've never left a session not landing the trick I wanted to get.
Wow, professional over here. Yeah.
It seems incomplete, or at least I'll
Yeah.
come back to it and I'll get it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I've done a lot of tricks that I get on film and I don't post them even though they were the trick I wanted to get. I was doing something on the Winkler spine like ramp that I have, and I was doing on the extension because I'm left-handed. It's like a blessing. I get to hit the extension, and I did switch. I rode up here, and I did switch Smith, switch flip down to the bottom part, switch Smith.
Sick.
And it took me forever because I wanted to get it clean, and I got it, and I never posted it because it was just didn't look good.
What?
So,
yeah.
but I came back to that like 3 times. So, yeah.
I'll be looking to see you post one, and we'll know that's the good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to it.
Sweet.
Thank you for having me. And
Yeah.
if anyone's made it this long in, that's awesome.
Dude, I bet you a lot of people listen to this whole thing. This was an amazing chat. We covered a lot of topics. You went really in depth with some cool personal things, and I think, there's a lot of interesting things for people to gain from it. So
thank you.
Good
And this
work.
is cool because I really don't get a chance to catch up with you at the rendezvous or anything. So this is like the most. I feel like we just caught up on like 10 years of like.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really good hanging out like just in a small group and not when it's all hectic.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And thank you for making fingerboard content that is not just like it's like breaking the mold. It's like actually giving longer form stuff. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I want to show everything, the big picture, not just fingerboarding, but really how it plays into everything. And then also the amount of fingerboard detail that we did cover is really useful for like both people who don't know it and people who are gonna remember it and be like, oh yeah, wow, like it's like there's so much.
If you're as obsessed as I was when I was starting out, this would be like candy. I would be like, what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, watch it again if you just finished the episode. Start it over. Watch it a second time.
Yeah, watch the second time. You'll see it's actors just repeating a script. So, awesome.
Perfect.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome having you. Thank you.